This is the Peace, Power, and Purpose podcast, where we spread awareness for men's mental health and spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. Be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube and Spotify. New episodes drop weekly.
Lord, I pray you'll guide me, you'll lead me through your Holy Spirit, and I pray this episode will impact people in a positive way. I pray we can raise awareness for not only mental health, but also your word, Lord, and just spread your gospel and just show people that you are love, no matter what kind of past, what they've been through or who they are. And just to inspire men out there, Lord, to be more open, to have more courage and to seek help when they're struggling and not to stay silent. Thank you again for this opportunity. I pray that you will bless Gavin and cover him in your blood, bless his family. Also bless me, Lord, and guide this conversation. It's in your mighty name that I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Welcome back to the Peace, Power, and Purpose podcast. I'm your host, Steve. Hey, if you're new here, make sure you smash that bell, subscribe to the channel. New episodes drop every week. And we're here to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ and raise awareness for mental health. My guest tonight is a two-time national champion, Team USA kickboxer, Pan American champion, former WWE signee, actor, and host of Armored MMA. He's an entrepreneur and someone who has built his life around discipline, growth, and constantly pushing himself to be better. Without further delay, Gavin Walker, thank you so much for joining the Peace, Power, and Purpose podcast, brother.
Man, dude, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. We have a mutual connection that kind of put us together, but thanks for taking time to hear my story and just be on this. I looked at your program and everything you have going on. I love the message, and hopefully someone watches this and gets something out of it.
Well, yeah, we'll give John a shout out. John Mabry, thanks for making this connection. And for you guys watching right now, Gavin's in Nashville and I'm in Franklin, so we're close to each other. So Tennessee episode tonight, right, man?
That's right. Yeah. I'm actually at an office in Franklin too. My studio is
kidding. All right. I thought you were in Nashville, dude. That's hilarious.
Yeah. Well, no, I live in Briniac, hop, skipping, and jumping.
Yeah.
I wanted to have a cooler backdrop. That's what I was talking about. Like I got Viking axes and all this stuff like in the background, but the way my schedule worked out with training people today, my lawyer come in. So she kept me over working. So I'm hearing this, my boss's feminine office,
That's awesome, dude. I didn't realize you were in Franklin, man. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, brother. I'm right across from like Franklin Gun Shop, like that. If you know where that, it used to be called Franklin Gun, or the bowling alley.
Yeah,
we're
Lakeview.
up there on the hill next to Innate Health. I think Brandon runs that chiropractic joint. So
Okay. Yeah, I know exactly where that's at. Nice. I'm down near Berry Farms, Goose Creek area.
Okay.
So I'm a little bit south of you. Yeah, that's funny, man. Well, Gavin, before we start, I got to ask you a question, dude.
Yeah.
We were both at the Ryman for Black Label Society. And how in the world did you get to meet Zach, dude? I got to know this, man.
Yeah, man. So they did a VIP, they did a VIP meet and greet. So you could just buy tickets and go do that. And yeah, man, it was really cool. He came up and met you, like shook hands. He was awesome. Like, I was really impressed. He's a big Christian too.
Yeah, I knew that. Yeah.
I didn't really know all of that. And been loyal to his wife for I don't know how many years, but just that's ungodly or unheard of in the rock and roll industry. And doesn't drink, he's sober for I think over 15 years. But anyways, yeah, man, just bought, we actually knew the drum tech. And so that was he hooked us up with tickets and, said, hey, y'all want to come? And we were like, yeah, and I'm a homebody. I never go out, man. So for me to go out's a big deal. And yeah, we had a great time. I didn't realize we were going to get to be side stage.
Yeah, that was awesome, dude. I saw those pictures.
Just kind of sitting right there, yeah, it was great, brother. Did you have a good time at it? Did you have a?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we were up in the balcony, and it was actually my girlfriend's first, I called it her first real concert because she's a country fan. I am not. I'm a metalhead through and through. So yeah, it was good. I'm from here, but I've never got into country. I've always been a metalhead. I've seen Zach, I think 5 times. I saw him with Pantera last May. So yeah, dude, it was fun. Yeah. Dude, I was kind of surprised at how lame the crowd was during Pantera's set. I think I'm a little older than you. I'm 46. So I grew up with them and I was just looking around going, man, what's wrong with these people? It's Pantera.
Yeah.
But I don't know, dude.
That's how the crowd is, man. It depends. That's what we were commenting on with, the Ryman, you can only get so hardcore in there. We didn't expect people to start moshing or anything, but
yeah.
It
Yeah.
was, I did say that I felt like, I mean, I don't know how you felt. I felt like they could have turned his mic up a little bit. I was like he sounded great, but I just mean like I was like,
Yeah.
and maybe it's where we were standing. It just was like full instrumental, and then I need to hear him. Like you could up him a little more. But it's the Ryman, they don't really do rock shows there all the time. So
Right. He sounded good from the balcony, but I did hear people complain that the drums were up too much and that it was drowning
yeah,
him out. But, I don't play music. I don't know a lot about it. I just like it. So for me, I was like, man, it's Zach at the Ryman. I don't want to miss that. So that
yeah,
was a
man.
killer
I tell
experience.
one of my Viking brothers, he's a huge fan, like a huge fan. And I mean, I'm a fan, but I'm not like, die hard like all the time.
Yeah.
And I texted him, I said, man, who's your favorite brother? And he got and he waited to respond, but he told me later, he's like, I was texting you, but I was like, why is he texting me like this? Like he's doing something. And I didn't know, but I got like with the VIP thing, you got free stuff to autograph. But
Oh,
I
wow.
went up and bought him a poster and was gonna have him sign it. And I didn't know that, you were getting all this stuff for free anyways. But I went and bought my buddy a poster and he signed everything I put in front of him. Super cool. I wasn't overwhelming him, but
Yeah.
but I texted him and my buddy was like, bro, I'm here. And I went, wait, you're at the show? So I go out in like the smoking area or whatever. And I said, where are you at? And he like told me, and I just like peeked around the corner and there he was. And I was like, dude, come here, and I gave him this stuff. He's like, brother, I can't believe you got this for me. So yeah, it was cool, man. It was like, and there were so many people like yourself there. I don't know how many people I've had reach out to like, dude, I was there too. And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
thanks for the party.
It was awesome, man. Yeah, especially in Nashville, dude. It's just cool to see Zach at the Ryman because, this town loves country music. So it was cool to.
Dude, I don't get the country thing, man. I'm
I
with
don't
you on
either.
that. Like
I don't
old
either.
country, Toby Keith and stuff, the patriotic stuff, Brooks and Dunn, Alan Jackson. I can dig some of that, especially when I like, I'm on the farm, like jumping horses. But other than that, man, you're not gonna catch me blasting. This bro country, I can't stand. And none of them. I'm telling you, I grew up like on a farm. They don't farm,
Right.
which is
No.
fine. Make your money. I'm
Yeah.
just saying.
Yeah. Yeah. Where'd you grow up, man? Where are you from?
Man, there's so much in my life that I could tell, but I'll cut to like the meat and potatoes of it. The Appalachian Mountains, man. If you look at
Okay.
like see, I guess to the screen, like in the very corner, and there's this place called the Tri Cities. And I
Yeah.
always tell people if you've heard that song Wagon Wheel, ironically country,
Mm,
not Darius Rutger, but Old Crow Medicine Show, and he
yeah.
says Johnson City, Tennessee. That is one of the cities that's in the Tri Cities, and
Mhm.
it's that area, but I grew up
Okay.
on a farm out in far Hickory Tree, Tennessee, and out in the sticks, and I love it. But we have what's called a Bluff City address, and but
Yeah.
it's out. It's really really country. So when I
Okay.
moved to Nashville, everybody was like, "Man, you moved to the country." I was like, "No, no, I'm not. I promise."
Nashville's not country anymore, dude. Like it is
Uh,
not the same city as it used to be, man.
it's changed since I've been here, brother. Like it really has. It's changed. I've been here almost 10 years. And even I've seen it change. I'm not even a native. So
Yeah, yeah, it's wild. Well, so speaking of childhood, man, obviously you're a very athletic, very driven individual. Growing up, were sports a big part of your life? Like, how did all that kind of start for you?
yeah, man. I gotta brag on my parents, brother. I can be honest. Like we had it hard in ways, but I have just the best parents on the planet. And not many. I've learned this. I've known this. Not many people can say that.
Yeah.
I mean, just truly having two individuals that loved each other and loved you. And I mean, they were fair with disciplining me. They were fair with, corporal punishment. They were fair and they were school teachers.
Mm,
Both of my parents are school teachers of over like 30 years. And I think that had something to do with it, for sure. But they're just super loving. And they never pressured me to do anything I didn't want to do. I think, as a just naturally being in the area you're in, it was kind of normal to play t-ball and,
mhm.
play. My dad was a incredible baseball player. Um, had pro tryouts, like whole 9 yards, but like he never forced that on me. My mom was a cheerleader. So, I mean, the athleticism runs in the blood. It actually started with my granddad was a World War II vet. And, he's why I guess probably drawn to the military, but, he lettered in 5 college sports, I think,
Wow.
which is unheard of. You can't do that
Man.
now. And,
No.
my whole family, like my dad had 2 brothers and two sisters. So, and they were all athletic. Like the whole Walker family in the area I grew up was pretty known for just being really good at pretty much everything. Honestly, I hate to say it,
Hmm.
like sounds conceited, but it's true. But yeah, to answer your question, brother, they didn't force me. I just grew up playing elementary T-ball, basketball. I kind of did it all. And then, you get to high school and that's when it gets a little more real, and you
Hmm.
kind of start picking which sports you're going to do or good at or not good at. But yeah, they never forced me, brother. They let me do whatever I wanted and, supported me. And I found martial arts, extremely early. I wasn't fighting yet, obviously, but, Kempo karate I did first. And, looking back, man, I know that that was hard for my parents because that wasn't cheap.
Yeah.
And we did not have, I didn't know how, I don't, poor, I didn't know how poor we were. Like, I didn't know how bad it was. I didn't know how scary it was for my parents actually to, wonder if bills are going to be paid or food's going to be on the table, et cetera. And my parents worked so hard for that, man. Like, they worked really good, but that's how good of parents they were. I never knew until I got older. It was like, oh man, you know,
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
we were rough. So yeah, brother, they were cool. Just great childhood. They did not force me into anything I didn't want to do, but I loved playing. Football was the latest sport that I played, and that was the one I was actually best at.
Okay.
Um,
Nice.
yeah, and I played. We can go into sports more, but yeah, that's how it started.
Well, I wanted to ask you this too, man. I always like to ask guests, like growing up, was faith and church, was that a big part of your family's tradition growing up?
For sure, brother. Yeah, I think growing up in the South, and
Hmm.
but that's another thing, man. I feel like when people listen to me talk, like there's so much stuff that they will be able to relate to, but where I can't relate to people, I mean, I can understand it, but I got to be honest, like I didn't experience this. You hear about all these horrible experiences in the church, some of them,
Hmm.
and a lot of people I know no longer have faith because of some stuff that people did to them in the church or experiences they had. I had the best, man. I got to say it. Like I had yeah, we grew up. I went to Central Holston Christian Church most of my life, like growing up, and had a great time. Like all the, I'm gonna call them instructors. Just kind of people that have you when you're a little child, and the whole family was, Christian, and Jesus was always. I was raised that way, man, to love
Nice.
God and love people, and I was lucky enough to be brought up. But and even when I got older and went to youth group, like, I still remember high school youth group, and, my preacher was Bob Robinson, who rest his soul, he just passed away not terribly long ago, and, Bobby Shelley, and, I mean, it was just like an all-star team. My uncle
Yeah.
was on the team too, and I mean, we had retreats, we had, Camp ACC, like, just all these fun like, church was awesome, and ironically, I went to church with my football rivals, like, big rivals.
Wow.
Like,
That's awesome.
you're all boys. Like, it was really funny. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, the field, it wasn't cool, but like we were all boys. I mean, I remember we'd play games and then they would come pick us up and, take us to a retreat for the weekend if we just played football Friday night. So I had the best church experience growing up, man. I can't say that there was ever, there was falling outs with one church we were with. I think that kind of happens. You move churches, but man, I had a great church experience, and Christ was always something that was taught, not forced. But I was raised, I think, in like honestly the healthiest way possible.
That's really good to hear, man, because you're right, especially in the South. I feel like there's so much church hurt. Like, I was raised in the Church of Christ, and I don't have any ill will towards the Church of Christ. Now I'm attending a Church of Christ again, but for me, it was the legalistic side. It made me feel like I couldn't screw up, and
Right, right.
I didn't wanna be like we call him a youth minister. I didn't wanna be like him or the Sunday school teachers because I looked at those men and they were all button pushers, and I didn't want to be a button pusher. My dad wasn't, and he was a strong or still is a strong Christian, but I don't know, man. It was like I grew up in this real I just felt this pressure, like I couldn't make a mistake. And so when I got older, I just kind of gave up on it. Now I learned the hard way that that was the wrong move to make, and so I went
Yeah.
back to it. But it's good to hear you're one of the few guests I've heard say they had a good experience growing up in church, and it's refreshing to hear that because I think people they still need to hear that, man, because there's so much negativity around religion and church. It's good to hear you come on and be open about it and say, yeah, I did have a good experience, and it was a big part of my life because I think that's still it's so important for people to hear.
No, yeah, 100%, man. In your stories, I think that's unfortunately majority. The
Yeah.
church. One of the
Yeah.
guys which I'm sure we'll talk about later, but one of the guys I do a lot of work with, Joey Potter's name. We talk about the church a lot currently and how it is overall, and you've got all these different denominations, just like you got politics, right? And they all have their
Mhm.
different kind of pulling you in this direction, and we like to talk about how like A to B is A to B.
Yeah.
Like Jesus is the Christ, Son of the living God, died for sin. Like that's an A to B example. And then you have
Mhm.
all this stuff in the middle that like kind of breaks the denominations. Like, you got the Presbyterians sprinkling you as a child, you've got the Catholicism. At the end of the day, it's A to B, brother. And it's sad to hear the stuff like you're talking about, because unfortunately I do feel like that happens a lot,
Mhm.
is people have this bad experience or you're kind of scared into damnation, like,
Yeah. Yeah. That was
yeah,
me, dude.
because
Yeah.
hell, it's a fine line. I feel like everyone needs to operate this way. If they could operate what I call the balance,
Mhm.
or have you ever heard of the Tao, the art of
Yeah.
like the balance of life? If you could find that in literally every aspect of your life. So explain to people, no, there is a consequence to your actions. It's extremely real, but don't scare a child into, not even thinking he can think a negative thought, like,
Yeah.
because we're covered in the blood of Christ and
Yeah.
forgiveness, and, it's sad, man. It's really sad. I know so many friends that have just been like, "I don't even want a relationship with God," because the church really did some bad things to me, really messed me up, and but it does exist, like your point.
Mhm.
I'm a living example. There are plenty of good stories for all the bad. It just seems
Mhm.
dark outweighs the light, and that's really not the case, but
Yeah, it is, and I think the more awareness that, we can do as Christians and talk about Christ, but also put him in a real world perspective, I think that will, maybe open some people's eyes to it because I'm noticing there's kind of this movement, man, and you've probably seen it too, like more masculine men now are being open, especially from the veteran and the first responder world and talking about Jesus openly is like versus when I was growing up, I didn't see that. It was more just the guys that went to Bible college and then, kinda had the traditional, they grew up with Jesus and they've always had him, but they lived this double lifestyle where the version you saw on Sunday maybe wasn't the version, like, during the week, you know? So,
yeah,
but but,
yeah,
uh
man.
well, so let's talk about so you played football. Did you go to college right out of high school, or where'd you go from that point?
Man, I got such a trippy life, man. Yeah, it just kinda none of it turned out according to plan. It's working out now though, but, yeah, no, I was pretty good in high school, man. I played ball, got recruited by a few schools, and, I played some college ball at Maryville College,
Okay, yeah.
a couple years, and, coulda went higher on the totem pole there as far as the divisions go, but, to be honest, I mean, I love football, but it was like I didn't see myself going to the NFL, and I never had that. I mean, I never really thought about it, and I just like playing. I
Yeah.
just love playing. There's nothing like a Friday night light, like
Mhm.
I just loved it. And I remember I was raised so well, it was like kind of a shock graduating high school, because I just wasn't prepared for the world and the stuff that's out there. Which is kind of life, but it was like I remember graduating high school, and it didn't really dawn on me once I graduated, like, I'm never gonna see these people again.
Yeah.
And we were close. Like, our entire high school was pretty close. I mean, I had a reunion not terribly long, well, it's been a year or 2, but there was, like, 80, 90 people that showed up, like, which is huge for, we were so tight. And, when I went off to college, I had to decide where to go, and a lot of my friends were staying home, and for some reason, I was like, "I'm going to Maryville." I can't remember what it was at the time that pulled me there, and, I went there for about 2 years and, ended up in a fraternity, great memories, but yeah, a lot of firsts, a lot of crazy things, nothing really I was lucky and didn't really make any terrible life-altering decisions, and I'm sure God had some, spared me a couple of those. But, yeah, so I played ball there, and, eventually I hated it, man. This was honestly, I'm glad you brought this up, probably a turning point in my life, to be real. And I won't mention his name because, like, we're cool now, but there was the coach at this school, And to his defense, I think it was also like I had just never been treated this way before. Like I showed up to play ball, and it's already hard being away from your parents. I mean, it sounds sissy, but it's true, man. It was killing me to leave them. My parents, like, I was trying not to cry. Like they were trying, they died all the way home. It
Yeah.
was my dog was home, like, and here you are. That was my first experience, like just being. This is growing up, like it was a lot for me, to be honest. And I was cool, but I went to practice, and I remember the first thing, right when our parents left, like that guy goes, the coach comes out and goes, "Well, guys, welcome to camp." He was like, all that, "Hey, how's your girlfriend doing? How's your family doing?" Excuse my language. He's like, "That shit's over," and just like, everybody, all upperclassmen started laughing, and I was like, "Oh God, like,
Yeah.
you don't care about us at all. He got us to sign the wrong." And I had signed up to play like, I think it was like fullback is what I'd gotten, called in for. Well, then first day I'm on D line. Like it was like a total misdirection of everything. And I was in shape, thank God. And luckily all the upperclassmen liked me. Like everyone liked me. That's like kind of what saved it. But I mean, brother, you were called. I mean, you get this in the military, but it's like, it's their job to break you down to a certain extent. And then
Right.
like they build you up, like
Right.
in camaraderie is totally different versus like football. You're getting called every name in the book 80 times. Like I was like, I've never seen a coach so pissed at life. Just, just mad as hell all the time. And it was like, are you like, and they set you up for failure, which I understood like a little bit. Cause I'm like, throw you to the wolves. I get that. But it was like, you were supposed to know the entire football playbook within the first 5 hours you get in there. And we weren't, and we weren't even told to study.
Yeah.
And so if you screwed up in practice, you know, he chewed your rear end right then.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was just normal occurrence. And then, when you watch film, you got chewed out again for the same mistake. And then it was like 2 days later, he'd bring it up. "Oh, Walker hit the wrong gap," and I'm like, "Well, I didn't play this position.
Yeah.
So, that is not my fault."
Yeah.
And I remember, camp, it was like, getting everybody's like, "Come on, let's go." And there was this, I gotta tell you, this was so funny. I'll never forget this. Like, and it's funny now, but I promise you, brother, it wasn't then. Like,
Yeah.
I was losing my mind. And I mean, I'm talking Skyping my parents, like we're in tears. And, but there's this coach, his name was Coach Dunt. And I'll say his name because, like, middle finger to the sky on him, whatever. But he's cool now.
Yeah.
He was like a Rudy, man. He played one play his
My
entire
God.
career, and he was a quarterback, and he threw like a touchdown. So like, good
Yeah.
for him, right?
Yeah.
Well, he was the D-line coach for
Oh.
whatever reason. He was one of them. And one of the kids who I later became really good friends with, we did, the Oklahoma drill.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I can't remember the situation, but for some reason he started fighting with me a little bit. Well, I
Wow.
had like really been dabbling in MMA at that time. I pick him up, sideways him, and I'm just blasting the helmet, because
Yeah.
like we just watched a fight at practice, and they were like, "Yeah, let's go," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"All right, I'll be that guy." And he has a helmet on. He's fine. If anything, it's hurting me. And that coach, I remember, grabs me. He was like, "Do you want to play football?" And I mean, just screaming, spit in my face. And I didn't know what to do with myself. And I like pushed the coach and was like, "Get out!" But right then, I earned all the respect in the world.
Wow.
But that guy had it out for me.
I bet, dude.
Man. I mean, it was a nightmare, brother. But like, sorry to go off on that, but it was that moment in my life, like it changed me. Like I hated football. The love, that was like the first love of my life was football. And that was the first example, to be real, like of something I loved getting taken from me, which I experienced that so many times over in my life. But it destroyed the thing that I loved the most. And man, it changed me. And that coach was, I mean, people quit left and right, but in my mind, I was like, I've got to make it this season. Like, just get through this season. I can't quit. It wasn't in me to quit. I wanted to every day. And what kept me from not quitting, I mean, I was taking 18 hours. I pledged for the fraternity. The fraternity really helped me. It was a unique fraternity, and that helped me. And all the football guys liked me a lot. So I got through it. But that first initial experience, brother, that just really shocked my life. And I was like, welcome to the real world.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it ain't even the real world. You're still in college.
Right. Exactly. Playing
Like,
football.
That's
Yeah.
yeah. So I was
So-
there for 2 years, brother. And
Okay.
it just, It was, oh god, it was wild. And I ended up coming back home, but that's another story.
Okay. Were you on a scholarship? Do you feel like you kinda had to stay there to pay for school, or was it, did you
Man,
walk
no,
on?
I will be honest. That was another thing kind of set me for failure, man. I know my parents really feel bad about that now, but I was young and I could have went free that pretty much if I was home, in one of the schools but Maryville's private. So I
Oh.
can't even remember how much it cost, but it was insane. So I took out student loans. I got
Oh,
scholarships. I
wow.
had a bunch, but it wasn't
Yeah.
enough. It wasn't Vandy's price, but it was up there.
Mm.
I mean, it's called
Okay.
Harvard's. So
Yeah, wow.
I'm still paying that off. I've got it
No
down
kidding.
little less than 10 grand. I think I got 8 grand left on it.
Damn, dude.
But I've paid off a crap ton of it. But my parents, they felt really bad because they just let me sign, for school. And they're like, well, we should have been like, hey, man, you need to go here, not set your.
Yeah.
But to be honest, like they were doing what they thought was best. It isn't their fault. I went and I made, one of the guys I met there is the reason I'm in Nashville now and successful.
Mm.
If I hadn't
Nice.
went to that school, that's where God ties it together. Like
Right,
if
right.
I hadn't been there, I wouldn't be in Nashville now. So it all happens how it's supposed to happen, as I like to say.
You were there for 2 years. Where'd you end up? You said you went back home, and then where'd you go from that point?
Yeah, I had a really weird kind of situation, man. So I I joined the military like while I was at that school,
Okay.
and the way I did it, I did the whole MEPS thing, recruiter, signed to be a combat engineer, and I was going to do. I honestly, it's been so long, I can't remember if I signed up active duty or reserves. I want to say it was reserves, and I got to start drilling with a unit before like going to basic whatever. And I had a basic date for I think like that July or something, and I wrote my parents a letter. I'd like forged their signatures, whole 9 yards to go to MEPS. And but the way they weren't receptive to me in high school because I really wanted to join out of high school, and they were not receptive, and that's kind of one of the reasons I played football. And to their defense, they just love me and don't want nothing happen to me.
Mhm.
That the thought of that gives a mother just
What
nightmares.
what year was this?
Man, I would say that was. I'm trying to think. I graduated in 2010, so I would
Wow.
say that was
Okay.
20. I was at Maryville for 2, so probably 2012 is when I
Okay.
started the whole, I think, that journey. And
Okay.
then, and I may not have that timeline perfectly right, but I graduated in 10. I was at Maryville for 2 years, and it was
Okay.
that second year that I started doing this. And I drilled with the 316th Mac in Chattanooga, of an engineering unit, and loved it. I loved them, loved everybody involved. Lieutenant was awesome. The captain was, but like everybody else, was really great. And I was I remember going to an FTX out in Catoosa, Georgia, and we did you know what I'm talking about. Like
Mhm.
they set you up, here's the enemy, you're reading
Yeah.
about it, yada. And I just remember like we got messed up, brother. Like, I mean, you don't even have weapons. You're going bang, 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 bang,
Yeah.
simulating. And I get 2 guys. I'm like, I'm good, I'm good. And I remember it was just a cluster F, a cluster bomb of people going down. The captain's out there like, Walker's down, legs off, drag him out. They got to come drag my 250-pound self off. And the sergeants like had no clue what to do. Like they were just tripped, like they were, and that's what it's for. I'm not knocking them, but I
Right,
remember,
right, right.
when that happened, I was like, man, I can lead people. I can be trained. I can do
Yeah.
this way better than whatever that was.
Yeah.
Well, I put in a request to the unit and to be honest, looking back, I might have been a little scared. I don't remember. It's been such a long time. I'm just kind of like thinking of how it was when I was younger. But I know that was the main thing I wanted to lead. And I was like, I want to go to school to be an officer. And so I wanted to do ROTC. And they were super cool about it. They let me out of the unit and I got like a general normal discharge, nothing like dishonorable or anything.
Mhm.
And it was for school. So I went back to ETSU back home
Okay, yeah.
uh, and enrolled in ROTC. And I did that for a year. And brother, I was working 5 jobs, like uh, 5. I mean, I had scholarships, but and taking classes. I was a bouncer. That's a book in itself. I was, I worked in Buckle, the store, as
Yeah, yeah.
and back when affliction was a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, American Slider. Oh man. And I was what else? I
Affliction.
worked at a restaurant called Milano's. as a waiter. I was a
Okay.
personal trainer. And then I ain't gonna lie, I can say this online here, brother, because it's hilarious. I danced. Like I was one of the what's it called? Magic Mike.
Stripper? Were
Hell
you
yeah.
really?
I am so embarrassed. Oh, I swear to God.
Oh,
Like,
shit.
it's so funny. And it was looking back for my poor parents, man, like this was like, probably killing their reputations. I mean, I remember when and why I started, and I remember like, let me clear this up before we go further. Like, it was not because I just was like, man, I just need money to blow. Like, I had no help, financially. That's not knocking anybody. It's just how it
Right.
was. And my dad was really sick. I mean, he about died, I don't know how many times. I mean, that man has been through so many surgeries, his colon exploded. He has a pacemaker. He's had strokes. Like, I am so blessed that God like allows me to have him around. And I mean, but it was in all seriousness, it was like a scary time back then.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was tripping, and I was also young, dumb, doing some stupid stuff as the kids do, but I needed to make money. I didn't know what to do. And I remember it was my buddy. I won't get into this too hard, but like my buddy who was a barber, his brother ran this club. And he was my friend who was a little, he was like, oh dude, you should definitely. And the owner's brother was like, man, no, I did it, dog. And he was like this lady killer. This guy was
Yeah.
the man. And he goes, nah, brother, you will make stupid money. He wasn't wrong. He wasn't wrong. Just do a twirl, like,
This is in
but
Johnson City?
Johnson City, man, I ain't
They got
proud
male
of
strip clubs in
like
Johnson City?
they did then, man. They don't
Wow.
now, but it was, I'm not, maybe cut half this off the podcast. I don't know, but
No, hell no. We're
it's
leaving
just
this
part
in
of it.
here, dude.
I'll just be honest, like it was, and I'm not proud of it, man, but I mean, it was a thing, but there's so much I could tell you, like personal life stuff I was going through
Yeah.
at the time. And people from my old high school were hearing things, total rumors,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just made up stuff like, and it ended up turning into a really dark time, brother. Like it was a really dark time. And, I had to get out, man. I was busting my butt. And, the buddy of mine who is my fraternity brother, who's my big brother, he said, you need to come to Nashville.
Okay.
And there was one, I can tell you a funny story. There was one final nail in the coffin that like got me to go to Nashville. But it was, accumulation of all that stuff. I mean, I'm a bouncer in a bar.
Yeah.
I've got access to every drug known to man if I wanted it. Was I straight edge? No. Did I have problems? No. Did I have a good time and make some questionable decisions? Yes. Have no problem admitting that, I 100% sinned. Being in that business, the people you admire, are these players and these guys, and, and everybody was the only good thing counted was everybody was a fighter. Like everybody I worked with at that bar. I mean, I started bouncing at 17 years old, and everybody that I worked with at that bar was a fighter, and we fought. I mean, that's how I found MMA. That's how I found fighting. And, that was the cool part, but it was fighting women, have a good time. And at that point, with the ROTC and everything, I had to quit school because I didn't have the money to go. I didn't
Yeah.
have the money to stay there. I kept my grades up, but I didn't have anything. And I was working 5 jobs with not 2 nickels to rub together. And it wasn't because I was done with money. That was and the way I was brought up, I didn't think about being an entrepreneur or an actor or any of these things. Like it was go to school, get a job, find your sweetheart, get married, have kids. Well,
Yeah.
the sweetheart thing didn't ever work out. And that whole situation, just the way women were, shocked me. And it kind of spiraled my life, kind of like this, not this. I mean, I kept a level head on, but it was a rough road there for a while, man.
Where was God in all this, man? Were you still praying? Were you still kind of I ask this to everybody because I have my own experience with that. And I'm just curious, did you feel like this inner confliction because of that lifestyle, but then you knew like because of grace you recovered? Like how did that play out for you, man?
Man, the crazy part is like I'm skimming over so much, and I've been rambling about like I'm skimming over so many dark moments of like, to be honest with you, I think a lot of people can admit I have no problem getting on here and admitting how I was or how I felt. There were times, brother, I wanted to end my life. I mean, it got that bad. Like I remember my first breakup. I mean, it drove me insane. Like I did not know how to process it. Like I did not want to be there. And there was so much that just kept happening during what you're talking about, like during that lifestyle I was living. And I didn't have the wisdom I've got now to look back and see, well, there's a reason this is happening. You're entertaining, it was, and to answer your question, where was God? He was there. I mean, I
Mhm.
talked to him, I prayed. I wasn't actively in church. I was always a good person.
Mhm.
Anybody that encountered me, I mean, I had knocked out dudes for women, who had been in bad relationships. Like I'd done every, charity event I could think of.
Yeah.
I was always a good guy. And I think that's also part of the trap is thinking that's enough.
Right.
And it wasn't. And to answer your question, he was always there. And, there's a painting to summarize the answer that I love. I think Da Vinci made the painting, and I don't know if you've seen it, but it has Jesus like knocking at a door
Hmm.
like this.
Mhm.
And the door only opens back then at that time, the time period that it was, there wasn't doorknobs on the outside. They were only on the inside. And
Okay.
the point of that painting is God's always knocking, but you have to open the door. And that's the best way to summarize it, brother. Like God was always there.
Mhm.
Brother, I got arrested.
Mhm.
There was so much that happened, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I got arrested. God was there, and I talked, I communicated, but it wasn't enough. I just wasn't, I wasn't in. I lost everything. I'd lost my love. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just trying to survive, working paycheck to paycheck, just living a lifestyle of chaos.
Yeah.
And man, and what saved me was the nail in the coffin that happened, which got me to Nashville. And I do think, I faced my own trials and tribulations in Nashville, but I had to get out of there. And I
Well,
and I remember a buddy of mine, his name's Shane Davis. I remember what he said to me to make me leave. And that kind of really finished it for me. We went out drinking one night and nothing hard. I was never a crazy alcoholic or partier. I mean, like I said, I dabble, but I luckily never had a problem. I always knew my limit. I was never driving tipsy or drunk or anything. But I remember Shane, he goes, "Can I say something to you, man?" And we were walking back to our cars. I said, "Yeah, brother." And he goes, "You got to go." And I went, "What do you mean?" And keep in mind, man, like I loved everybody. I
mhm.
love my mom and dad. I love living with them. Like I would live with them now if it was socially acceptable. Like they're amazing. And I love my town. I love my hometown. I still love my hometown. I love everything about it. I loved all of it. And he goes, "You've got to go, man." And I was like, what do you mean?" He goes, "Gavin, you've got that it factor, brother." He goes, "You've
Hmm.
got something that a lot of people don't have." He goes, "I can't tell you what it is." He says, "It's just this it factor, man. People are just drawn to you." He goes, "You got so many talents." He goes, "And if you stay here, you're gonna be a coulda, woulda, shoulda like the rest of us."
Mm.
And I remember him saying that, man, and I was just like, "Okay." And I had the offer on the table, graciously from my a brother in the fraternity, and I packed up a couple weeks later and moved out to Nashville.
It's a good friend, man. So
Solid guy to this day.
I I wanna walk you back a little bit before we get to Nashville. Um, I do this periodically on this show, and because we're both into the same music, I'm gonna go for it.
Yeah.
So a lot of Christians, that are raised in, let's just blanket statement this, in the South, they have very, different opinions on Satan and darkness. So
Mm.
I wanna dive into this because I'm hearing you talk, and I'm not comparing, but there are some parallels to our stories, and I know for me, there's an old Van Halen song, "Running with the Devil," and I kind of embraced that, dude. I never worshiped him, but I definitely was not living for the Lord, even though I knew God was good and God was God, but I still had this, like, I didn't feel worthy of him, so I thought, "Yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna go to the other side for a little bit." So my question for you, Gavin, is when you were experiencing all this darkness, the breakup, the suicidal ideations, and you're partying, you're living kind of this, we'll just say not Christian lifestyle. And that's
Yeah.
not judgment behind that. I'm just calling it like it is.
100% fair to say.
Do you feel like at this point in your life, looking back on it, do you feel like Satan kind of had a grip on you and he was like kind of trying to pull you away from what you grew up with, like those strong family values and those deep roots, but he was like, "No, man, you need to go this way. Go over here. It's shiny over here. It's more fun over here."
You know, brother, that is such a fantastic question, on so many levels and reasonings. Yes and no. And here's why. I think so, you're brought up, if you're brought up, and a lot of atheists will argue this, Satan's bad, God's good, everything you do that's dark, it's Satan. Everything. And the older I've gotten and the wiser I've gotten, which I hope that we've all gotten wiser, and I like to think that I have. Um, I hate to say this, brother. I'm not saying that Satan isn't active. I think he 100% is all the
Mhm.
time. But I also believe, I don't know if you've ever seen the show Lucifer. It's
Yeah.
comedy.
Yeah,
But
I have.
I actually really enjoy it. And it's not what you think, it's got a bad name, but it's actually not what
Yeah.
you think. And I like that version because I think the more reality, at least for me, is that Satan kind of sits back and lets people be people, because he knows God isn't going to intervene with free will. And he knows God's got his angels protecting you. And he's like, yeah, yeah, but let me, maybe Satan steers a couple people into your life to kind of see what happens and rock the boat a little bit. But I honestly believe that he kind of just sits back and watches. And if you've ever seen the movie Nefarious, very good movie.
Yeah, very
Um,
good movie.
he talks about how they possess people and stuff. And I
Mhm.
wasn't near close to possession. I don't believe that or anything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I think that it starts off very subtle. And just the overall, like his influence on you, it starts very
Yeah.
subtle. It's in some music you listen to. And I'm also not the Bible thumper type that's like, well, you shouldn't listen to that song because there's a curse word in it. There's a
Yeah.
lot of songs I love that curse. And
Yeah, yeah.
it's like, if you're military or anything involved in that, like cursing's kind of a part of it. Like, so
Like
I'm just saying,
football.
it is, I don't think that makes you, oh, Satan's got his influence.
No, no,
It
of course.
does start like that, little things, and in what you watch, what you consume. And for me, I think it started with, he was like, man, I've always compared myself to Samson. Like, and so does
I
my,
was gonna say that earlier. You look like Samson, dude, and
yeah,
hearing you
man,
talk about the
Samson,
relationship.
Jesus, Pee Wee
He's my
Herman.
favorite character in the Bible. Yeah, Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah, man. Samson, and
Love,
women were
yeah.
my weakness, like, and I think that's how he got a hold of me a lot was, you got this hopeless romantic kid who had this beautiful family growing up, and everybody's, I was so naive. I thought that the whole world just wanted to be loved like me and wanted to find a partner. And no, there's a lot of messed up people out there, brother, and we as men do put a lot of people on pedestals that don't belong there. And, you kind of break your own heart is what I like to say. And very interesting philosophy. But I think that's what he does. I think Satan kind of sits back and he looks at your weaknesses and he might send you somebody. And, the devil never came to me with, pitchfork and hooves. He came with me with high heels and mascara, my brother.
Yep.
Like, to be honest,
Well,
that was the truth. That's just the truth. And when I went through that, I think most men, that's what happens to them, especially with heartbreak. They're like, never again.
yeah,
Never again am I giving myself like that to a woman. I
right.
will have my fun. I will do what I want to do. I'll be nice. I'll be a great guy. And that was me. I was always a good guy,
Mhm.
always respectful, but I wasn't about to get close again like that.
So
And, you know, even with men, it's looked down upon women do it, but even with men, when you spread yourself thin like that, brother, it can be parts of your soul lose, you lose it.
mhm.
And, you're not, that's a little extreme, but you lose pieces of yourself. And, next thing you know, you forget what it feels like to be in love and how good it feels to be loved because it's so scary. But I think that's what Satan was doing, man. I think he kind of sits back, sends you some breadcrumbs, and he slowly gets a hold of you before you realize, like, 3 years, 4 years gone by, you're like, what am I doing?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like I'm a good guy. I'm working hard. I only do this drug here and there. I only smoke here and there. I don't hurt nobody. I help out people. I love being good. I love God. I love my family. And I think his goal is the ultimate goal of the enemy is to pull you as far away from God as possible. Right.
Yep,
And
100%.
that's what it was happening over years, just slowly by slowly. I wasn't mad at God. I wasn't upset with God. Wasn't blaming God. I was just slowly, very subtly, further and further away from Him before it's like, when was the last time I really talked to God and like had a relationship
Yeah.
when I need help?
Yeah.
When was the last time that I was like, I want to be the best version of myself and be fishers of men? You know, when
Mhm.
when was any of that? And I couldn't remember.
Yeah, and so to your point about the mascara and the heels, it says in the Bible that Lucifer was God's most beautiful creation. I don't see Satan as pitchfork and horns, but to your point also, as a believer in Jesus, we cannot be possessed. I do agree with free will, and I'm not going to sit here and blame Satan for every bad thing in my life. But what I have learned through my older age is I think the enemy's number one goal is to keep men that love God and believe in God quiet. So if we have a checkered past, we'll shut up and not talk about God. So then we can't make disciples. We can't spread the gospel because we're going to be filled with shame. And I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about this. So I think the enemy is very strategic and Satan's not omnipresent. So he can't just, he can't focus on me and you at the same time. He's got to run his legion of demons to run intel and do recon on us. So the way I see it is he knows God won. He knows where he's going at the end. I think his goal is to take as many with him as he can. So what he'll do is keep those of us that love Christ quiet so we don't spread the gospel. That's really all he's got because he can't physically make something and boom, I'm going to put this in your life. Like I remember that show vaguely, but he's clever and he's a great, he's the great deceiver and he's a shapeshifter. So I mean, I think certain people can be put in our life, but I think at the end of the day, and you just said it, we have to maintain constant communication with God and understand that there is grace. None of us are perfect. And regardless of the stuff we've done, God will never leave us or forsake us. So he's there. But back to your analogy with the painting, he's knocking at the door, he's got to open it. Like no matter what you did, hey, God, I need you. I need you right now. And not say, oh, Steve's got this. It's cool. I can figure this out. No, dude, you can't. Like, you can't do
Yeah,
it.
man. Yeah. Yeah. That preacher I talked about, Bob Robinson, rest his soul. He said this periodically through my life, like in church. I remember being, and that's how back to the church. Like that's how powerful my church was. Was like I was never truly out of touch with God because, and I believe why is because one, I was raised right, which is a
Mhm.
huge help. Two,
Definitely.
I did have the good church experience. So like I think if I didn't have those things, who knows how bad it could have gotten, and it got
Right.
bad.
Right.
But I remember him saying, he always said this a couple times. He would end his sermons with, I might butcher this, but he said something along the lines of, he would get real quiet, and then whoever, Will would be up there working the sound. It was perfect. The little piano, the dong would come, and then like this real sentimental, essence while he's talking would happen, right? And he would say, it doesn't matter where you've been, doesn't matter where you've gone, doesn't matter what you've done. You can always come home. And it was just that simple.
Yeah.
That simple. And that's 100% what it is. The powers that be and evil in the world wants you to think you're no good and think
Right.
that you're not worthy of grace anymore. And you've done something that you just cannot come back from. Me, like, I'm not proud of that time in my life. It'd make a hell of a book. Like it's entertaining. I could tell you stories for days, have you laugh until you fall out of your chair. Like I've got some crazy stories that are very entertaining. And, by the grace of God, I can look back and laugh.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I was very, very lucky, and that's why I do believe I'm chosen for something
Yeah.
because there were times, like I said, even though I didn't make terrible life changing decisions, there were times it definitely could have went the other way.
Yeah, and I think when you live for the world, it keeps you away from God, and that's why we're created in his own image and to live for Christ, not the world, because the world eventually is gonna burn you. No matter what kind of success, what kind of money, women, power, whatever you end up, you know, um getting it eventually the world's gonna you're gonna have to pay. I mean, it's gonna happen. And I think most well, not all men, but a lot of men have experienced that through the trials. And it's cool to hear, Gavin, that you still always kind of had God there, even though, maybe your life wasn't going the way you thought. But that's really cool to hear that. And I hope people listening to this hear what we're saying, that no matter what you do, man, he's there and he loves you no matter what you do. How
Yeah.
so let's talk about Trashville, man. How'd you end up in Trashville?
Trashville. Oh man. Oh, Trashville,
I'm
brother.
not a big fan of Nashville, dude, so I take as many
Nah, man, me
shots as
neither, brother.
I
I
can.
miss being able to pee off the deck, to be honest with you. That's like that's the main thing. I tell everybody that all the time, like, "Man, you like Nashville?" Nope. And it sounds bad. Like, look, Nashvillians are listening. I'm not dogging a city that's been really good to me. You know,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
got
yeah.
gotta give
I'm just
props
and
to that.
I stirred you up with that, dude. I
No,
set
but
you up
it's
on
true.
that.
But it is true. Like, I'm not a city boy. I don't
Yeah.
look like a city boy. I'm not a city boy. If I was a multimillionaire, maybe get a little penthouse in New York or something, here and there to visit, whatever. But man, Nashville, it's interesting. But the way I got here, quickly, a funny story. The way I got here was there was a nail in the coffin in Tennessee,
Okay.
back home.
Okay.
And the final nail in the coffin, I'd gotten through the arrest. I'd gotten all my life together. Like, I was like doing pretty well. I mean, and again, I'm making it sound like it was a total train wreck. It really wasn't, but I definitely wasn't. If I compared my life now to that, oh, brother, but anyways, the final thing, and I bless his heart, I hope he's not watching this, but I, I don't remember the guy's name. But he was a former Marine and he was a buddy of mine. He contacted me out of nowhere and he goes, "Hey man," long story short, he was like, "We're going to do a haunted house."
Hmm.
Like for Halloween,
Yeah.
and you've seen in National Nightmare, like I go every day, they make so much money.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
in Johnson City, there's this like highway, and there's a house right over here that he said he had gotten the deeds to, whatever, the permission. Anyways, long story short, we go out there and we're gonna plan it out. I'm looking at it, I'm like, we got a lot of work to do. We got to clear all this stuff out, but it was perfect. It was like the perfect setup. And long story shorter, man, he ends up like, let's go to the store, get cigarettes. We're like, okay. We get in this car, man. And I mean, he takes off with me and this girl who were in it. Sorry, my motion sensor keeps on going off.
It's all good.
He takes up with this girl in it, man. And I mean, he's like, I don't know if you've ever been in a car where you think you're going to lose your life.
Yeah,
Like,
oh yeah.
it,
Yeah.
I look back and that would be times God's, stepping in and probably protecting you. He swerved around all over the place and there's this hitch in the middle. Well, he finally just plows this thing. And I mean, like, and I went, "Oh my gosh." And, I looked at the girl and, he pulls up to the gas station, gets out his car and just laughs. And I look at it, and I mean, it's messed up, bro. Like, it's messed up. And I went, "Did he mean to do that?" And she was like, I don't think so." Well, long story short, she ends up going home and I probably should have taken him home, but I was like, I need to get out of here, man. I got to work early in the morning. He got arrested for like driving on like two roads, the opposite side. He gets arrested. So there went that whole plan of the haunted
Yeah.
house, which looking back, he probably didn't have the permit for. Like,
Probably not.
but he ended up doing like a year in prison. He's fine now from what I know, but that was like the final nail in the coffin. And I was like, I've tried everything to
Yeah.
make money. It's like, and a lot of my buddies, were doing stuff that they weren't proud of illegal, but
Mhm.
it was like, I got 5 kids and I'm working 4 jobs, 40 hours a week, and I still can't pay for stuff. Like, you
Yeah.
kinda understood why they were doing what they were doing.
Right.
It was just the environment we were in. So I moved to Nashville, and my big brother from my fraternity allowed me to come live with him. And, he lives in Mount Juliet and, owns his family is very well off, but very sweet, and, they own Nashville Golf Course, out there. And, I lived with them for a while, and I can't thank them enough for the grace they showed me to, give me a place to stay and, all this stuff. And I started doing construction with him. And at this point, I was looking for a gym to start fighting, like that was and kind of get back into it. Cause I'd fought back home during all that chaos
Mhm.
and done pretty well. Had some crazy experiences. But I did well and, set a couple records. It was really cool. But I moved to Nashville and, um, everything was good. I mean, there was a lot of stuff that happened, but, I don't wanna badmouth anybody because it's kinda difference of opinion, I think, but, it was one of those things. I loved him so much, like my brother, like, I loved him. I still, to this day, love him, and, like, I miss him. I mean, we were boys, and it was one of those things, though, it was like, if he wasn't going out, he didn't really want you going out. He wanted you to be doing what he was doing,
Yeah.
and, uh the dad was, he thought fighting was a waste of time. But I would argue, but if your son wanted to do it, you would think it's the greatest thing on the planet. It's kind of one of those
Right.
situations. And the mother was always sweet, the sister was sweet. And again, I have nothing bad to say about them. Like, I love
Mhm.
them, but it was one of that type of situation. And the future was work for his construction company forever, or whatever the situation. I don't know. And he and I started kind of growing distant, and a lot of the guys he had working for him, they really, really liked me. Like I was in the trenches with him.
Right.
He wasn't, but he worked. Like, he was not lazy. He worked, but just I think there was I don't really know what happened, but we had a conversation. And he was like, "I think you should take that security job," and I was seeing a girl at the time, and that might have had something to do with it too. I was gone a lot from the house and not home at night. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying I was clean in any of this. I'm just saying I think that was ultimately it. I wasn't conforming, and maybe I wasn't acting grateful. I don't remember. But
Mhm.
I was seeing this girl, and she said this girl was so rough, but like, she gave me some of the best advice that I do remember to this day. And she said, "Gavin, I'll always listen to you. I will be glad to listen to you complain, but you could fit all these things you're telling me." And this is a lot of people in life. All these problems you're talking about, are easily fixable. You could move out of their house and come live with me. That's done. You could go down to any bar in Nashville downtown. They will hire you on the spot by.
Yeah.
She was like, "So you no longer have to work for him." And it wasn't that I wanted to quit. I think we
Mhm.
have a problem of like quitting what's familiar,
Right.
what's comfortable. And I
Right.
still struggle with that sometimes. Just the last year I had something happen, but, and I ended up having to, I don't know if cut ties is the word, but, I moved out and more crap happened. I mean, I'm not saying like that was a better situation, but that was just the end of that chapter.
Mhm.
Um, I started working at Rippy's bar in
Oh,
that,
yeah.
and I was working at Rippy's, man. And it's funny because God works in mysterious ways. I wouldn't say I was, because I did some contracting, and this is kind of all over the place, but I wouldn't say racist isn't the word, but like prejudice maybe a little bit, or
Mm.
kind of hands off against Middle Eastern people at the time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
God's got a sense of humor, man, because I walked into Rippy's and all of it was bouncers from Middle Eastern guys.
Really?
They were like, oh, and they're all like, just, and one guy shook my hand. His name was Troy, who I'm still friends with this day. And a guy named Rick Weaver he was a Marine. He was the head of security. Well, come to find out, all these guys are prior service, and they betrayed Iraq, or Iran, I think was where they're from, to be translators for the U.S. military.
Hmm. Okay.
So we're on our side.
Yeah, yeah,
And,
yeah.
I got in fights with them against patrons, all sorts of cool stuff, man. God had a really crazy sense of humor working that out. And I learned their culture a little bit. I went over to their house, and their wives just bringing us so much food and drink, like just taking care of it. It was really cool to experience that, man, like experience that side. So that was kind of the start of Nashville. And there was a bartender there that worked. Her name was Jen. And she worked at Title Boxing, and she was like, "Man, you should come up and come over here and like check it out." And I'm an in person guy. I feel like I
Mhm.
do a lot of things more better in person than I do on a call or video. And I went in there in person, and that's where I would end up spending 10 years, 8 years with that company. Uh,
Wow.
that was a big chain, big. And that company really changed my life for a while.
Which location was that, in Nashville or down in Franklin?
Yeah, man. I was both. I worked for It was such a huge part of my life, man. I worked for the Green Hills location first, and the
Okay.
Finleys ran that. And then I worked later for the Franklin location. So basically the Green Hills location, they owned Green Hills and Franklin.
Wow.
And then the Finleys they ended up selling the Green Hills location, and we had new guys come in called Title Nash.
Mm.
And they were kind of like, a guy named Tyler in it. They were kind of their own like little entity, like own thing. Like, it was corporate, but they did their
Yeah.
own. Well, they bought it out, and I mean, man, you could spend 3 hours talking about this stuff, which I won't, but like there was so much crap that happened. But when new owners come in, man,
Oh,
I
yeah, it
mean, like
changes,
they come
yeah.
in, they're ready to change the script and flip it. And it started off really good. And even though I was taking a huge pay cut, took us like a $600 pay cut, the way that they run things, they were having you teach at all these different locations. And I built up a crazy clientele list. I mean, I got to thank Eddie Finley and like Diane Finley, like, the Finleys, we butted heads a lot. And I got blamed for a lot of stuff at Title that I still do not take responsibility for. And it wasn't happening. I mean, there was a new rumor started about me every week. I had never had so many people focused on my life and my extracurriculars and all this stuff. And like the rumors that were started, if I wish my life was that exciting, like it was one of those things, man. I was like, what are they talking about? It'd be, oh, he's with this member, he's sleeping with this member, he's doing this and that. And I had a girlfriend. That was the
Yeah,
irony. The other trainers were doing all this other stuff.
right.
I mean, it was blowing my mind, man. And I butted heads with them, but I respect them for never throwing me out because they knew because I was a dang good teacher and I was good at what I did. And I brought a lot of money to the club and I did. And that place changed my life. I met a lot of people I interact with today. I met a lot of people that I still do business with. But when they sold, those new guys came in and they were looking for a way to get rid of the fighters. And I won't go into too much of that just because it ain't worth it and it's been a long time, but it was dirty. I mean,
Mhm.
it was dirty. And I didn't appreciate it. And then I worked for that company at the Franklin location for another, Eddie took me there. His sister ran it, but they took me in, and I appreciated them for that. And I worked there for probably another 3, 4 years. It got new owners, and this is important. This is like probably a really big important talking piece of like life because at this point I've saved every bit of money I've made. Just saved it, saved it, saved it. You know, um, busted my tail, and I ended up getting let there, and it was one of those things the way though, and I love the owner. I mean, I trained his wife. I knew his daughters and I respected him. But it was one of those things, I'll just leave it at this, I'll get into it. He's questioned my character and my
Mhm.
integrity. And and,
Mhm.
and from the get-go, I felt like he was wanting me out. But it got to the point that I was like, if you want me to go, I'll go.
Yeah.
Because the one thing you're not going to do is insult my character and come up to me while I got clients coming in and pull this crap. Because it's been one thing after another. I've dotted every I, I've crossed every T you've wanted. I've done everything you've said. And he's like, you have, and I was like, but you keep on trying to catch me and stuff, and you're not going to because I'm not doing
Mhm.
it. Like, I kind of quit. I was like, you know what? I don't need this. I'm not going to do it. And he was like, well, let's come to an agreement. Let's come to an agreement. Let's do this. He schedules a meeting next Wednesday. I send him a proposal. We talk. He goes, I hate to bring you back here. I think it's time we part ways. And I kind of went, okay, and just handed him my key. And to be honest, I wasn't super tripping, but there went my life.
Yeah.
Like I'd known for 8 years, I'd put money into it or put time and effort into a company and built it and was the backbone of it. And like if I was going to be sent off, it should be on a funeral pyre. And
That was like your identity, you
yeah,
kinda lost your
man,
identity with it.
100%. And this happened, the identity thing. They ain't even talking about the WWE. I ain't even talking about fighting. Like we're just talking about a
Mhm.
normal job. Like that happened. This is like the fifth time this has happened at this point. And
Mhm.
you're kind of like, okay, God, like what's happening? And I handled it with grace. I got to say, I handled it with grace, man. I did not talk trash. I did not tell people to cancel memberships, yada, yada, yada. It isn't my place to talk about how they're doing now. Like I just did this, but I remember this is the most important thing. I remember one of my clients' moms said, baby, what happened at Title? What happened? And I went, you want me to tell you? You sure? And she goes, yeah. And I told her, kept about 10 minutes. I was like, all right. And she said, well, how you doing with it all? And I went, honestly, I said, I'm good because I'm making more money now. They're not taking 50%. Like I'm doing a lot better. I said, but I just hate that it was dirty. I said, it didn't need to be so dirty. Like, and she goes, baby, but it had to be. And I went, well, what do you mean? She goes, well, honey, if it hadn't been dirty, you'd have never left. And I went, oh man. And I don't know how many people I'd had in my life during that time, like, tell me, "Brother, you're better, you're more than this place." I hate to say it. Like, not
Yeah.
knocking, it's great for what it is, but all this little drama in your life, all this other stuff happening, it's happening because all these people around you. It ain't really you. It's
Mhm.
you're in an environment that just,
Yeah.
and you're gonna be a product of your environment. You know,
Right.
you're always stressed out, you walk on eggshell. It was a good lesson for me, man. It was a really good lesson for me. One of the top, some of the best one of the best things that's ever been said to me. Changed my perspective.
So were you already a national champion when you were at Title, or did all this kinda come, after the fact? And then the
Well, the
WWE and all that?
Yeah, so all that kinda happened periodically, man. So when I to backtrack a little bit, like, when I first moved to Nashville and I was doing the construction, well, my brother and stuff, I was just working out with him and, all this other stuff. He wasn't, like, into fighting, and, once I moved out and was with, my girlfriend at the time, was with her, and then we ended up having a place. I mean, dude, this is like a whole saga, man. Like her brother ended up living with us. He was an alcoholic. Like, I was taking care of everybody. I had another roommate who I loved to death, but he was the messiest human being on the planet. Like there was a neon sign of my house that if you don't have your crap together, come live here. Like, and and people would make fun of my house because it kind of looked like a place people would come in and do crack and leave. I mean, just because I was cleaning up after everybody. I got a dog, like, who I love my babies, but like, I felt like running the house of crazies. And
Yeah.
not to mention the stuff she pulled, like, there was so much stuff. But during that time, I went around the gyms trying to find someone that would shoot me straight if I had what it takes.
Yeah.
Because I never had the confidence in myself that everybody else saw. And I was so hard on myself. And that was because I know what it is now that I've analyzed it, the trauma that I increased with, that I had from women. I would build myself up to this, I go all the way back to my first love. And it was like, she cheated on me. She broke my heart. Like, and I wasn't perfect. No, that's not true. I wasn't perfect either. So, but that changed me. And I remember my mindset right then went, and I got into bodybuilding. I was like, I will be the biggest. If I can't be the best looking, I'll be the biggest dude, like, she'll ever see. Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
walk in the room, people are gonna go, "Oh," that was my mentality. And then I was like, and if I can't be the biggest, I'll be able to whoop them.
Yeah.
And that's why I started fighting. Like, so I
Okay.
got into it. Like, that's truly it. Like, I needed something as an outlet. And at that time, keep in mind, everybody around me is a fighter. Like, all my bouncing buddies,
Mhm.
they're all my coaches. And I'm bouncing since I was 17. We're fighting. There was a point where we were fighting, Tuesday through Saturday. I kid you not, like, just multiple times, just smashing people before, like, the sissification of the world. And so I had some fights then, and back home. And another reason I got out of it was, like, my record was never right. Like, you go on there now, my record's wrong. It's like 3-2 on MMA. I'm literally like 17-3. Like, it's
Wow.
crazy. Nothing is updated. I don't know if I need to submit it, whatever, like,
Yeah.
uh, that was part of it. But I remember I went through all that heartbreak, and where it really changed was one fight in particular. And this is, like, really important. This was a huge moment in my life. So when I had my first heartbreak, that's that young love. It's beautiful. Young love is so beautiful. That first time you ever feel it, man, like, I'm sure you remember, like, there's nothing like it. It's why God
Yeah.
created.
Right.
You think after that happens, I will never be happy again.
Mm.
Like, and then I met another girl who, when I met her, like, man, I loved her. When I saw her, I was in love when I touched her hand. Like, it was, I didn't even know that existed. My mom had talked about it with my dad. I was like, no way. And it was, and unfortunately, that relationship, she and I are super cool to this day, but it took a horrible turn. I mean, it went bad, and it's not my position to put her business out there, and I wasn't perfect either. But to say one thing, she did give me an apology 5 years later. I mean, to say, hey, here's why some of this was the way it was, and I'm really sorry. And sorry goes a long way. I think that's a lesson everybody should learn is, it's never too late to apologize. And she's the only one I've ever had in my life apologize like that. But she, I remember she showed up. I went down to a fight. I had a fight in Knoxville. And I never liked my parents going to fights because I would get whooped when they watch me train. I don't know what it was. Like, I wasn't even thinking about them. It was like, they're in the room, I'm getting stomped. And so I didn't like them to come to the fights. So I drove down to Knoxville. I went to weigh-ins by myself. I went and ate by myself, and went to a movie by myself. And the movie I went to see, I remember was Hardcore Henry. I don't know if you ever saw it. It's like a
Mm-mm.
first person shoot 'em up movie. It was really cool.
Okay.
And I remember the end scene of that movie. The movie started with its first person the whole time. The kid's clearly been bullied, and his
Hmm.
dad comes down in front of him, leans down in front of the screen. He goes, "You big P word."
Yeah.
And, oh man, well then by the end of the movie, same scenario. The main character's been whooped, he's down, and it flashes back to the dad. So he says that, but then he goes, "That's what my dad called me every day growing up." He goes, "Now, Henry, I'll never call you anything other than by your name. But at some point, you've got to decide, are you going to sit there with that blood in your mouth? Or are you going to get up and go spill theirs?" And then the main character, dum, 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 dum. I mean, it's just, it's foul, it's this
Yeah.
awesome. I remember watching, I got chills. And I went to the hotel room that night and I prayed to God. I was like, listen, man, I know. And this is before Nashville, like right before. And I was like, I know I hadn't been the best. I know I've been crazy just with all this, but I don't care if I ever win another fight. Please let me win this one. like, just please let me win this one. Man, Kane from the WWE was there.
Yeah. Okay.
So we come out, man. I come out in cool God moment. I come out and I remember I'd called the promoter and was like, man, I'm here to fight one dude. Her whole team's going to be there. She was a fighter too. And I was like, please don't let her be there. She was there. She was in the the weigh-ins. Her whole team was in the same corner as mine. I mean, it was like messed up. Like if they could mentally mess you up, that would.
Yeah.
I walked in there, brother. I remember I prayed walking out and I walked in there and I get in the cage and I look and she is standing right across with her new dude
Oh no.
who she had trained with. I shook his hand. I knew him.
Oh.
Like, and they're just watching me and you can see it on the video. I look up at God like, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah.
And I remember the ref goes, "Are you ready? Are you ready?" And I was like, "Hell no, man. Like, let's get it." And I remember thinking, get me out of here as fast as possible.
Yeah.
And I remember I did a jab, slip jab with the right step, rear shovel hook across the face. I learned it from a drunk boxer in the bar that I bounced at. And and the boxer was the ex-husband of the wife who'd help me when I could keep me out of jail. Like, I mean, it's just full circle moment, man. You
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
God's
Yeah.
not working? This sounds funny and crazy, but like you can see where God's going. And I don't deserve it. Keep that in mind. I knocked him out in I think it was 8 seconds.
Dang.
4 he was out. I had like he was out on 4, but the time, full time was 8 seconds.
Right.
And he was such a godly dude. He was older. He was a guy who would fight anybody. Like you look at his record, it wasn't fantastic, it wasn't bad, but you look at everybody he'd fought, he would go be like, give me the worst guy, the best guy you got right off the rip. He was that guy. And he and I talked about Jesus for like 15, 20 minutes after the fight. It was beautiful.
Huh. Wow.
And I did that right in front of my ex.
Yeah.
And so I moved to Nashville and I kept fighting. I mean, I had a couple more fights. Well, I had what people don't talk about being a fighter, man. They don't talk about the losses. They don't
Mhm.
talk about when you're on your back
Yeah.
and you're just looking up at the ceiling and I mean, your eyes are swollen shut. I mean, I have what's called B word, like B brows. You look at me, I bruise. I mean, fights I'd win, I looked crazy, like horrible. And I've
Yeah.
been hit like 3 times. But I went to one fight. I mean, and there was so much illegal stuff going on. Um, I'd rolled my ankle. I looked at the ref, like tapped the ground. He just looks at me like, and I looked at him weird. I get rocked. I
Oh.
mean, and naturally you stand back up. I got cleft lips, like rocked again. I got split open. I mean, it was just, and then the promotion didn't send me with any insurance, like, I mean, it was just a
Man.
nightmare, it was a nightmare. And so I'm like, okay, God, do I need to go down this path? Like, is
Yeah.
this, and the guy I fought, I wasn't scared of him. I was winning the whole fight till that happened.
Mhm.
And, I mean, so much went wrong. Again, I'm breezing over half the details, but like so much went wrong. And when I went to Nashville, I took time off of fighting. And I'd worked at Rippy's, like I said, did the construction, and I found Title Boxing. I took a year to just coach. And then it was like, it just clicked. And it wasn't that, my coaches were bad back home. It was just like, I understood the why.
Mm.
Why are you taking an angle to hit? Why are you
Right.
attacking here, then covering up, then coming up with an uppercut, then stepping back and throwing across? I started understanding the why. And I went around gym to gym in Nashville trying to find people to fight. And a little fun fact about Nashville, I don't know if you've had any experience with combat sports in Nashville,
Mm-mm,
but if
not
it's
much.
boxing and you go to spar, it's a dog fight. It isn't, they're not trying to make you better. It's a straight up fight. And
Yeah.
I went to a couple gyms. I was like, man, I ain't looking for all that. Like, I'm looking for a coach. And I met this guy named Chris Beasley, who recently just had some strokes. And this guy trained me for free a few times, to be honest. I'm pretty sure he did like at least 6, 7 times. And I told him, I said, man, shoot me straight. Do I got what it takes or not? And he went, you can be one of the best in the world if you want to be. He goes, I know fighters and I know what I see. And man, to speed it through, like once I got with him, I got some good sparring partners, met Tony Johnson, who's ACA heavyweight champion in Russia. Like I sparred with countless people that are really good. And it was with him, man. I had those Waco national champion in kickboxing,
Nice.
fought these titans for national champions. I mean, I'm a pretty big guy, but I mean, these guys like 6'6", 6'8", just large humans. And I mean, I knocked a dude's tooth out in that first national championship, fought a couple times, won that. Then next time they sent me an even bigger guy who was name was Konstamirik. He was an eighth or ninth degree black belt in Shotokan karate, which that's actually a legit martial art if you look it up. And I watched him beat the dog crap of a 6'5" Irish guy.
Hmm.
I looked at my coach and went, do I got anything to be worried about? And he goes, "Huh, no. Like that was him. I was
Yeah.
worried
Yeah.
because,
Yeah.
everyone around me is going, that's a big boy, and
Yeah.
I'm like, F you, I'm a big boy too. What are you
Yeah.
talking?
Thanks
What are
for
you
the confidence. Yeah.
Yeah, man. And I'm like,
Yeah.
this is Team USA, who I've
Yeah.
proved time and time again. But I'll tell you this, man. The ultimate thing was it was on that stage, and this is like moving to Nashville
Hmm.
saved me, even though I got plenty of heartbreak and crazy crap. But honestly, that was my undoing. I got to share Christ for the first time. Was I still dabbling here and there? Yeah, 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 nothing, but nothing crazy. But like I was making money and I was focusing on sharing Christ through fighting. So when I
Nice.
got the mic, I took advantage.
That's awesome.
And there were so many people that watched me and were like, dude, I like this guy. Like, because most fighters are, I'm the man, and I'm not
Yeah.
tooting my horn. I'm just saying, like, I took that time to give it back and not in a churchy way, like
Right. Right.
just
Right.
real. And people started to be drawn to my spirit and they were like, man, what's this dude about? Why is he happy? Why's he good right now? Like
Hmm.
this ain't right. This is weird. And that happened, man. And I mean, I fought, in the Pan Ams. I mean, it was a whole thing, and I never got paid. I mean, Team USA didn't pay you jack. They gave you a pat on the back. You had to pay for, I mean, everything. I mean, I got nothing out of it as far as like money. And when my coach was done, I was done.
Hmm.
That was, it wasn't because he had some family stuff, but that's another story. But I was fighting like that the whole time that I was working at Title. Running a personal training business, just busting my tail trying to make ends meet and figure it out. And you know, balance my love life and all this other stuff, man. But fighting like really helped me share Christ and just lock in more, with that, if that makes sense. Like lock in, like really, really, really start the path back to where I need to be. And that's where somewhere during that time, and I don't remember how it happened, but that's where I met Joey, like got in with Joey Potter Missions. And he was from my church back home, the one I was talking about. I
Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
meeting him when I was this big.
Huh.
And I remember seeing on Facebook, he had added me on Facebook during this whole time of Nashville, and he was going to Africa. And I was like, I don't know what came over me, brother. I really, like, to this day, I couldn't tell you what made me reach out, but I was like, I'm gonna go to Africa.
Hmm.
I want to go. And I went on a mission trip and like that
Nice.
was it. Like that's what started just kind of the whole path like back to Christ really in like a grand gesture, if that
That
makes
that's cool that God used your talents though in a way where you could spread the gospel. Instead of doing it from a pulpit, you were doing it as a fighter. And so you're going to reach a whole new audience, a whole new demographic because, you're not in maybe the traditional setting doing it. And I think that's what's so awesome about God is that guys can talk about Christ in areas that you may never hear about him, like even whether it's fighting, military, whatever it is, man. It's just cool that it's funny how God will use us in ways that, I mean, I never saw myself being a podcaster, dude. Like, I don't have a background in this stuff. I mean, I'm a trainer. I mean, that's what I do for a living. And, I never thought in a million years I would sit behind a microphone and talk about my testimony and then interview other folks about their journey and how they've overcome trials and how God's worked in their life. So it's cool how God just kind of, chooses a path and says, okay, well, you like this, you're a fighter, Gavin. So we're gonna, we're gonna like kind of use this to help other people. That's pretty cool, man. That's really inspiring to hear that.
Yeah, man. I think God, like, okay, this is one of those things, like, love me or hate me, people can say it's like, you gonna remember when I walk in a room.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I don't think I'm some good looking guy. People look at me like, man, he looks like he just got out of prison. I'm like, that was 4 years ago, just, but, at the end of the day, it's like, okay. And then now the whole, I didn't mean to look like Aquaman, just kind of happened. Like,
Yeah.
that, and then you have that. And I've been on a lot of trips where people have said, they're like, man, like God kind of uses the way you look.
Right.
Just you're different. You were
Yeah.
different than like,
People are drawn
if
to
you went
you.
down Nashville, like walk down Broadway,
Yeah.
what are we going to see? Mullet, clean
Yep.
shave, the stash,
Yep.
like what women love, the Morgan Wallens, right?
Yep.
Like nothing
Exactly.
wrong with that. Do you,
Yeah.
brother? Like, but he took, yeah, I think he kind of took my look, and people wanted to see me fight because just of the look, right? Like
Yeah.
alone,
Yeah.
like honestly, I could have been horrible. It wouldn't have mattered. And but you got to win to get to speak.
Right.
And that was the case, man. I would win to speak and bring people into the cage and change people's lives. And during that whole time, God wasn't just using me for the cage, which prepared me later in life because I'm good at speaking in front of people. But it was, I'm training all these people throughout the day who were coming to me. I had an ex-girlfriend say this. And I hate to say it this way. It's funny now, but it's a real statement. Like they look like walking apologies. And that's like the best. That's a really good, in all seriousness, that's a really good, you know what I'm talking about? Like people who
Yeah.
just walk like they're sorry to be in your
Yeah.
way.
Right.
And I encountered so many people like that, whether they were overweight, wanting to gain muscle, this in training, like you encounter this all the time. And
Mhm.
whether it was, I think mostly it was positive, but when they're around you, they start to think like you a little bit. And I would
Yeah.
always like
Yeah.
just casually, by the grace of God, it's not me, just kind of slip God into conversation, just little tiny little, just like the devil does.
Yep.
He's trying to pull you this way.
Yep.
I would flip that and do that with Jesus and just be like,
Nice.
you try praying about it.
That's
Well, it
awesome.
says in the Bible, pray as if you've already received the blessing and then
Yeah.
do the work that you need to receive the blessing. That's how you're actually supposed to pray. And it says pray behind closed doors.
Right. Right.
Um, that's a key thing. And then, be talking about the church. And I'm like, well, you don't have to go to church, but just like you train your physical and your mental, this church is for your spiritual feeding. So if you can go to church, you should probably find you a good one because they do exist and there are
Mhm.
some. But at the end of the day, is it just about your relationship with the one most high? 100%. He wants a relationship with you, and that's ultimately what it's about. And through training and fighting, I was able to provide that, for people. And next thing they're maybe they're not confident enough to speak up for themselves in a room, but, you know, because they've listened to me, which God has spoken through me to say something to them. And I would even say that sometimes I'll be like, I don't believe any conversation's accidental.
Mhm.
Uh, and I'm saying this to you. I got a feeling, take it how it is. Next thing you know, they stood up for themselves at work and they got a raise or, something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And there were moments, I think there's moments like that through all of our lives. Um, some of the best advice I ever got in my life was when I was at Rippy's and this guy, they do the NCAA tournament right there at Bridgestone.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The fans come in. Well, I was bodybuilding, so I was like a lot larger than I am now. And he comes over and he goes, "Man, what's your story? Like, what's going on?" And I went, "Man, I told him a lot of what I told you, just briefly, like, did this, did that." I said, "Here I am in Nashville, working the same job for $4 more on the hour. Man, I don't know what I'm doing." And he goes, "Brother, how old are you?" And from this point forward, like anybody watching this, I say this, like I'm talking to you when I say this. Take the age out of it; it doesn't matter. But the advice is all the same. He goes, "How old are you?" And I think I was 24 at the time. I said, "24, man." He goes, He walks off like for 2 seconds, comes back. He goes, man, listen up. He goes, look, I'm 52 years old. He said, not just now. That's what he did. He went, he goes, I've been married, been divorced, got a couple kids, said I run a business. He goes, I'm gonna tell you, man, you're very well spoken and you can talk to people. He goes, if you put God first, you will know when to speak up and when to shut up. He said, and it will just work out for you. I promise. You've got to understand that it will just work out and don't stress too much about it. And I was like, I remember it didn't really hit me then. I thanked him and everything. It wasn't the next day. I walked into my job at Tidal, the Green Hills location at the time. And Eddie was in the back and he was like, hey, Gavin, how would you feel about if we brought a trainer, like a personal training manager in to feed you clientele and stuff like that? And I went, oh, yeah. And it just,
Hmm.
and I went, that's a great idea, brother. I said, but I tell you, I don't know why you would hire externally when you can hire internally because I can do that job. And he thought about it. Long story shorter, he made me the PT manager. We
Nice.
went from last in the nation to first in the nation in PT sales.
Wow.
And for months. And don't get me wrong, brother. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know how many people hated me for that?
I'm sure
Like
they
how
did.
many other trainers were pissed and
Yeah.
they weren't doing jack. They
Yeah.
weren't doing anything to make that happen. I tried to make them money. I tried to give them people like they wouldn't meet me remotely halfway. And it came down to they just had a problem with me. They were jealous and jealousy. I never understood that. Everybody, my dad always go, they're jealous of you, man. I never
Yeah.
understood. I'm like, what is there to be jealous about? I look in the mirror and I hate myself. What are you possibly jealous about? And that's a thing, man. That's a thing. When you get something good, that's when the devil sprinkles and he
Yep.
just tests you. He never tests you when you're ready to rock and roll. It's
No.
always 2:30 in the morning
Yep.
for some pop to pop off.
Do you still look in the mirror and hate yourself?
God, that's a good one, brother. You know, I I think the best here's the secret to life, and I've learned this. I like to do this experiment. I'll do it with you while we're on here.
Yeah.
You can just anybody watching, I can literally do it with them now. Ask yourself this question. When you look in the mirror, pretend the person that you're looking at in the mirror, obviously like it's not you. Pretend it's a different person. And ask yourself the question, would the person in the mirror be friends with me based on how I've treated that person? And when I first ever heard that, man, that hit me like a sack of bricks.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I don't remember the last time I complimented that guy.
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time I smiled at him. I don't remember the last time I patted him on the back or even looked back and said, well, you've accomplished some things. Cause I'm just always looking at the failures, the shortcomings, the times I've messed up, the heartbreaks, what I did and all these things that were done to me to make me feel so bad about myself. Some of it is your fault, but some of it is the world being the world
Mhm.
and Satan. And I don't know how many times I had gotten so confident in a healthy way and was just ripped back down to the bone
Yeah.
of just, I felt ugly and I felt, didn't matter how big I got, didn't matter how good I looked, didn't matter what success I had. I was never good enough for me. And to
Yeah.
answer your question, I do not hate myself, not at all. And I have long since forgiven myself for the stuff in the past because I'm not that man. And I am I'd like to think I'm a dang good man these days. And I'm not dramatic. I'm a good person. I got a relationship with God. I spread the light. I'm a much better man than I was. Am I satisfied? No.
Mhm.
I'm not. I have legit body dysmorphia. A lot of people like, oh, I got that. I got that. No, you don't. No, you don't. You're just hard on yourself.
Yeah.
There was a time, I mean, there was a time where I did not have control. Like if they said, eat that white dog turd right there, you'll get bigger. I would have done it. I
Yeah.
kid you not.
Yeah.
And that is something that is legitimately mental and diagnosed by a professional. It's not, oh, you're just a mirror monkey and you like looking in the mirror at your muscles. That's not it. I'm never
Yeah.
big on that. That is not what it is. It's created through trauma and it's
Mhm.
created through usually when you're younger.
Yeah.
And man, I think partially I did it to myself, but I also was never good enough for anybody else. And, but I was always good enough for God. And that's the irony.
I think I'm glad to hear you say that, man, because I think one of the hardest parts of being self-aware and working in mental health is learning to love yourself. And it took me a long time to understand that concept. And someone told me a long time ago, God doesn't make mistakes. He made us the way we are for a reason. And I think once you learn to forgive yourself, and I'm glad to hear that you said that, learn to forgive yourself and to love yourself, others will love you. Because if you don't love yourself, no matter how good a person you are, no matter the things you do in life, it's going to be really hard for somebody to love you if you don't love yourself, because it's going to come out in ways that you probably don't realize. And I think the body dysmorphia, I understand that. And I think driven, high performing men, they're always going to be their worst critic. Like I still do it, even though I have been to therapy and been sober for almost 5 years, and my prayer life could be better, but my relationship with God is way better than it ever has been. But I still feel like I still beat myself up, and then I have to stop myself and I'll say, hey, you know what, Steve, you've been through a lot. You should be proud of yourself. And I don't do that as much as I should, but I'll stop myself sometimes throughout the day and I'll say, hey, don't miss the blessing, Steve, because you're being ungrateful, because you're worrying about something you can't control. So I think the more you work on yourself and learn to love yourself, learn to forgive yourself, it can give you that little pause where the enemy can't get in there and say, yeah, you know what? You are a piece of shit. You're not worthy of this, because he'll do it. I mean, he'll do it, man. He'll sneak in there as soon as he gets an opportunity. And I'll be praying down the road, man, and somebody will cut me off and I'll start cussing. I'm like, I'm sorry, Lord. I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm
man.
sorry. I'm sorry. You know?
I'm gonna be honest, but there's some people that get the finger, man. I don't give a damn. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
like
It's
some of it is
Nashville,
like,
dude. Traffic's
hey,
horrible.
yeah, and God, it says in the Bible, do like the twist of word. I know it pretty well. It says there's a time to murder. Like, I'm shit. So like, it, nah, man. That's the thing. It's love God, love people, right? That's what my Joey goes by, my minister that I work with, and loving people, man. Sometimes it's easy, and that's very rare though. Like, I mean, people are people. People be
Yeah.
people.
People are people.
Like I can't imagine. You know how many people? I mean, I'm just like, I'll be in the grocery store. One of them's up on. Would you back up just for a
Yeah.
second?
I'm the same way,
People are like,
dude.
how close do you need to be? Like,
Yeah, I'm the same
and I
way.
don't. I mean, it's just that's people, brother. And
Yeah.
the stuff you're talking about with the mental just it creeping in. That's how the devil gets to me. I don't really self down myself too much. I've gotten better at like you hear a lot of famous gurus talk about like the moment a negative thought goes in, let it go right out,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
That's all well and good. And I'm fairly good at that, but people have a way of just cutting you at the knees. I mean, every time I do a TikTok live, there's some moron that hops in there and says some shit, and it
Yeah.
just on brother, there was literally on the when you posted about this podcast,
Yeah.
it's these backhanded compliments. Like there's
Yeah.
this guy, like you posted some pictures of me when I had shorter hair. There's a guy that commented on that. I don't even know who that is. And, nothing wrong with him. He didn't say anything mean. He was trying to be nice, but he
Yeah.
said something like, um, keep up the great work. Short hair is better.
I
Something.
missed that. Was that on
Yeah.
Instagram?
Yeah. 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 And
Oh,
he's probably an
wow.
older guy. Like, I don't even know who his name, I can't even think how I know
Oh,
him, but like, I was just like, to me, like, that's wild to say out loud. Like,
yeah.
I would just never,
He
I would
wouldn't
be
say
like,
it to your face by looking at you.
yeah,
I
I
hadn't
would just
met
be
you in
like,
person, but he wouldn't say it to your face.
yeah, I'd just be like, awesome, man. Cool. Or like if
Yeah.
I see, I don't ever, and people have always done that to me, man. Like anytime I get, you know, up here with myself and feeling good, it's like someone comes in and just swipes you,
Yeah.
right at the knee
Yeah.
to cut you back down to size and humble you.
They're
And you're like,
jealous, man. They're jealous of you, dude. And
yeah, I like
it's
to think
hard.
that, man. It's,
Well, they if it makes you feel any better, I mean, I got called an SF fanboy this week because I put a clip of Nick
I saw
Lavery, and I looked at it and I thought, man, I can't say anything crazy, but I was like, dude, he's not even talking about SF. He's sharing a story of how he went from this life that was not favorable into a life of service in the military. And I looked at that, and we had a lot of mutual friends. I don't follow this guy, but I was like, dude. So I have to like take a breath and then, because I'm like you, man. I'm like, why are you gonna come over here and clown, man? Like
Yeah,
you wouldn't say
yeah.
it in person, but it's
Yeah,
just
man. Yeah, I feel like I feel like that's one of the hardest things men deal with too, man. I don't know. I mean, I think you can relate, but and I can't speak for every man, but I've went through times in my life where there's a lot of that stuff going on.
yeah,
And then there's a lot of it like external stuff happening too with people. And
yeah,
because I mean, back in the day, you could be, just
yeah. You can
deck
take care of
somebody
it.
for talking to
Yeah,
you. And it
not
was
now.
great. Like people
Yeah,
were so much more careful about what they said and how. And somewhere along the line, you couldn't do that anymore. But I've also often said this. I said I feel like a lot of men feel like this. For me, it's like an enraged wolf,
yeah,
just this rabid wolf that is consistently in a cage, like
yeah.
and has to be, and you can't say anything online. They can say what they want to you, but the moment you
Mhm.
say your account's getting flagged or something like that, or if you say how you feel politically, oh, you're getting banned because you're not
Yeah,
going with the flow. Like it's like you can't really say what you want to say and what you have every right to say and should say. And you can't when it sometimes there's times where physically it's 100% called for. And I think God himself might be like, yeah, give him what he deserves. That's going to be part of his growth process. Like, uh, and you can't, you can't. But that mentally, there's
yeah,
been times in my life where mentally, I mean, I remember just talking, I was like, I am so pissed all the time. And
yeah,
I don't have anger issues, but like I'm mad at the way the world is and I don't like how it is. And I hate it.
yeah.
And um, I won't get political, but this was a good example. My buddy Josiah said this, and this quote is so good. You remember back during like the 2020 Olympics when they did like it was supposedly they said it was like the Greek dinner Dionysus or whatever, but it was like
Oh
everybody thought it was
yeah,
the Last Supper, right?
yeah, 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 yeah.
You know that whole situation, yeah. So, and I don't go political either side. I'm just going to say it how it is, like in the sense of you had one side that was like, oh, that's blasphemous, and then you had the other side that was like, that's the Greek dinner of Dionysus. I'm like, I don't care which one you're on.
Hmm.
No one looked at that and went, "Oh, that's the Greek dinner of
No,
Dionysus." Of course.
no,
Of course that's
no,
what it is.
no. They did not.
Duh.
No,
No
they
one
did not.
remotely thought that. I don't care what you say. Like,
All
and
right.
that's fine. You can be over here, you can be over here, but that statement that I just said, we
Yeah,
can agree. And my buddy said this. I remember there was this huge outrage from the church and from typically the right,
yeah.
over that whole situation. And he said, just in simple words, and brother, this has stuck with me for so long. Are you surprised when the world acts like the world?
Nope,
And it
nope.
just, man, that hit me. And I don't know how many times I've used that when people talk to me about stuff. I'm like, not to take away from what you're saying, but
Well, you know what? You know what? I'll take it a step further. You know what I tell people? I'll ask them. I'll say, "Do you know who the Lord of this world is?" And they'll look at me and I'll say, "Satan." He was
yeah,
given. He was
yeah,
cast to the earth, and you know what? He's up here cruising around, and you get. I don't get shocked by anything anymore, man. I'm like, yeah, well, you know what? Like you'll hear we're in the metal. Like you'll hear bands. I'm like, I'm not surprised.
yeah,
Like I'm really
100%.
not. Like, but I think that's a good point though. Like like that quote you just said, and I think at the end of the day, man, I want to go back to what you're saying about this caged wolf. I think what I'm a little bit older than you, but back in the day, anger was the only appropriate emotion for a man. Now that's been taken away because we can't react. We can't say what we want to say. If somebody does something to us in a public setting, you can't beat their ass. There's too many lawyers involved. You're going to get hemmed up on. I mean, a guy your size, they're probably going to charge you with attempted murder and with your fighting background. So it's like you gotta but we have to be more, and this is the hard part, dude. We're called to be like Christ, so we have to turn that other cheek and be like, I wish I could hit that guy. But we can't do it. And I think in a weird way, it makes us stronger because the world wants us to react and say, "Oh, look at him. He loves Jesus, but look what he's doing. He's fighting. He's beating this person up." And when we just can just take it and just eat it, and then go find a healthier outlet, whether it's hitting a heavy bag or going to the gym. Like people say, I love to go to the gym. It makes me feel better. I'll be 100% honest with you, Gavin. It don't make me feel better at all, dude. I'm mad at
Same.
myself. I hate myself when I'm training, and I need 2 shoulder replacements. So I'm like really hate myself when I'm training. But I don't. It's not my happy place. I like to work out, but when I'm training, I'm not in there to be Mr. Happy. I got my headphones on, and I'm like, this is the only place in the world I can be the man that wants to come out and go crazy. So I have to channel that in the gym. And so I think as men, dude, I think masculinity is kind of making a comeback, but we have to like really set that new standard as we can be violent if necessary, but we're good men because we're controlled. And I'm not perfect. Don't get me wrong, dude. I make mistakes, but others are looking to us as we might be the only example of Christ they ever see. And if we can hold it together, that's a victory. Even if it's online, if it's in person, and it's hard, dude. It is. Oh, it's hard, but you
Yeah,
know.
man. It's like I always say I don't like violence. Never have.
Hmm.
I'm just a man skilled in it.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's the I know the art,
yeah.
and you know that whole you want to be a warrior in a garden or a gardener in a war,
I knew you were gonna say that.
kind of that
Yeah,
whole thing,
yeah,
I will train to mess you up as fast as possible and
yep,
in the situation. I train to pick you up and get you out of a situation where there's a live shooter, you know what I mean? But
hmm,
I'm not out there looking for a problem.
yep,
I react when something's done, and that's how you should be. Through everything, through the fighting, WWE, like the armament, like all that stuff, man. There's so many situations, especially if you're trying to be successful, run a business, run a podcast, like
right, right,
you're going to get tested, and I don't think people understand that, man. Like it's like when you sign up for a life of Christ, like it's not a lie, but what you're sold is, man, it's free love, 100% true.
yeah,
Which it's bliss, it's joyful, it's amazing, 100% true. What they're not telling you, you also got a huge target on your back now.
yep. You're a threat.
You
You're
are
a threat.
signing up, bro. You are literally signing up. It's like signing up for the military in a way. Like you are
Hmm.
signing, but it's spiritually. You're signing up
Hmm.
for warfare spiritually.
Yep.
Like you are now, if you are not going to get tested, now you're going to. And I don't believe personally that like God tests you. I think I think God lets people be people. That's
Yeah.
what tests you. But
Yeah.
God can take a horrible storm and turn it into a beautiful sunrise.
Yeah.
That's where you have that option. And he's gonna, people get all pissed off when they get tested all the time. I never understood that. Like I understand being like, hey man, I'm good this year, not
Yeah.
being on the strongest warriors list.
I need
Like
a smoke break.
yeah, yeah, like yeah, give me a second. Like, I
Yeah.
understand that
Yeah.
100%, but it's like, man, do people really want, do you want weak people in your army? No. I can't think of one time I had a guy beside me and I was like, "Man, I'm really glad he's weak now, man."
Yeah.
Like you need to have people that have been tested, that have
Yep.
been just battle tested beside you to help you in life. I mean, that's what you got to
That's how
have.
you evolve and grow as a man.
100%. You evolve and grow as a man through tragedy,
Hmm.
through absolute chaos,
Yeah.
and being able to remain calm. And I don't know how many girls I talk to with that sounds wrong, but I mean like in training. I don't know how many girls I talk to when they come to me with their problems, and I'm like, and it's men too, but like this is a big female thing. I'll go, you've got to control that initial emotion.
Yeah.
And I get it. That initial, when someone comes at me, I'm like, like that is my initial just Thor, man, just go at him. You have to just process and let it happen.
Yeah.
The one who's slow to speak and just observes, that's the key, you know?
That's a hard one to learn, man. I still struggle with that one.
Yeah.
But it's good. You're right, though. You're 100% right. What is it? Slow to speak and slow to anger. I think Paul said that. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, but it's
Slow
so
to speak.
true. So true, man.
And it's something that you'll be tested with. I look at every day as a test, like every day is a test. And there might be 50 questions on that test. There might be three, but did I pass the test each day? Well, okay, God had somebody say something sideways to me. Did I react the same as I did? I mean, there's literally been times I'll be driving home like, man, I wish I'd handled that better. That caught me off guard.
Yeah, yeah, man.
You
And
know?
I try to be really transparent on here, and I've had people tell me, "Well, now that you're sober, life must be so much easier and better." And I'm like, you know what? My life is way harder now that I'm sober.
Yeah.
But that's because I have to sit in it. I can't numb it. I can't wear my mask like I used to wear for so many years. And I'm not complaining because in a way my life is better, but it's way more challenging. But I finally figured out I'm a better dad. I have a purpose. I know what I'm doing. Because before I didn't, I was kind of all over the place. But I'm glad you brought that up because I think people kind of see Christianity as like, oh, I'm a Christian now. Life is going to be so easy. And
No,
No, no, you're a
the
threat.
opposite, my friend.
You're a threat. You're a threat to the enemy, and he's gonna push on you, as much as he can. Well, Gavin, tell us like where you at today, man. Are you still training? I know you do some acting, right? You doing some stuff with TV or something? Like what's your life looking like right now?
Yeah, man. So much. Yeah. So like after it was a lot of stuff actually kind of happened. So after the fighting was the WWE, and we can come back to that. But that because that was a big chapter. And then I stumbled onto armored MMA. So what I do with that is armored MMA. For those of you who don't know, is it's basically either we have a site AMMA, but it's knights fighting in armor, and that's our company. And I'm like the Joe Rogan of that sport. So
Nice.
I'm kind of the face, and I interview the fighters, I commentate. And that's started by my buddy Mickey Gallus and his girl Kelsey Lita. She's the vice president. And basically, um, after the Olympics and after the after the Olympics, after the WWE, like I was looking for something to do. I didn't know what was happening. And I found these guys and they were doing this in their backyard. And like, and we did this in the backyard, man, and trained and fought and I liked it. And then I can't remember where I went, but I went away. I think it was contracting and came back. They had a gym. And then it was like they were doing fights like in the gym every week. And it blew up. And then next thing you know, they're like, okay, we're fighting these fighters every week. We can go to the Palace in Nashville. We're doing a show once a month, making the same amount of money doing it, and then that sold out. Now we're at the Municipal Auditorium. And now currently we're on tour. So like I just got back from Maine when I was first talking to you.
Okay,
That's
yeah.
what that was. I was in Maine. We just did a show out there and had almost a show sold out show. Like
Wow.
probably I want to say like anywhere from 3 to 5,000 when the other place seats
Hmm,
six.
nice.
And, it was crazy, but it's growing. It's a huge sport called Boohurt in Europe. But anyways, it came over here, and the first time I fought with them, it's funny about that sport because a lot of those guys, like you take them out of the armor and put them in with like a UFC guy, they're gonna get whooped. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
not all the time, but most of the time. And then, but on the same spectrum, you take a pro fighter who's used to doing what I'm doing or UFC or whatever, and you put them in that armor, they're getting whooped. It's a totally different atmosphere and different vibes. Like what you can do doesn't always work. It's wild. But anyways, I fought with them. My first fight ever was Dragon Con, which is like Comic Con for nerds.
Okay.
And it was in Atlanta. And so it was 5-on-5.
Huh.
And brother, we won the whole thing. It was
Wow.
hilarious. Like I had never done it. Like, I mean, it wasn't because it was easy, it was hard, but
Yeah.
it was a cool experience, man. I was engaged at the time. Like that was a really good time in life. And that's how I got into that. And then, I started when they were taking it on tour, they said, what you can fight anytime you want, obviously. And I didn't have the time to drive out to the gym with everything I'm doing. I'm running a personal training business now. Like I have so much stuff going on, building the Viking village. Like I've got the acting, all sorts of stuff. So I was just like, I think this is the best route. So that's where we're at now. And I'm doing that. And the acting is interesting, man. That's a weird industry. I'm not a fan. I don't like having to send in. I think you have to almost be a little arrogant, and I'm not arrogant in a negative way, but I do kind of look at myself and I'm like, okay, if you don't look at me and think I can make some money, then like we don't need to be talking. Like I don't,
Yeah.
and in my acting ability is not, it ain't trash. And I'll do whatever. So like that's kind of the attitude I have, and maybe that's not good. I don't know, but I don't like how it's like, hey, you got an audition, it's due tomorrow. And I'm
Mhm.
like, I got a job. My schedule's made. Like I gotta find a reader to read the lines. I gotta go put
Yeah.
this drop up behind me and be like, and I'm better in person. Like and I feel like if you see me in person, you're gonna go, oh, all right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Can he act? Yes, he can. All right, check. Like I feel like I would bag it. But anyways, I've been doing a bunch of short films and one of the ones we actually shot over a year ago just won Best Sci-Fi Fantasy at the Real Film Festival. And
Cool.
that. So my parents texted me like, "What's that mean for you?" I was like, "Absolutely nothing." But like, it's cool that we're winning, and
Yeah.
you're seeing that in Hollywood now. A lot of people get famous from making their own short films, starring their friends. And I've got a couple short films I can't even share on my social media because they're still in the circuits right now. But
Mm.
maybe something comes after it. Maybe we get a Netflix deal. Maybe we don't. I was in I Can Only Imagine too. I was Trace Atkins stand in. Uh,
Wow.
funny. Yeah, he actually likes me, which is hilarious. But
How'd
Yeah.
that work out with all your tats, man? You know, you have
So
to hide them.
stand
Hide them.
so standing rope, they just need like a similar stature. And they and I was only there a couple times. Like I was like, this ain't worth the money. But uh they just in your I was covered up
Okay.
in the because it was set like a campfire scene. But anyways, they just need someone with similar stature.
Oh,
And the
okay.
way they do stand-ins, I've been notice in the movie industry, it's like, say here's like, let's say Avengers, like you got Chris Hemsworth, Mark Ruffalo, Robert Downey, right? So they're doing a scene. The stand-ins come in first and they like set up the cameras to a similar skin texture and everything. They go, thank you, B team. A team comes in, does the scene.
Gotcha.
That's what
Okay.
stand-in work is. And
Okay.
I don't like doing that. I don't like doing extra work. So if I'm not a part of the show or one of the mains, I'm like, nah, it ain't for me. I'm not doing. And that may be why you're not booking a lot. I don't know, but I'm just not
Yeah.
about that. And I'm currently building the other thing I got building a Viking village back home. Um, I bought some land out near my parents,
Nice.
and I'm gonna make a retreat center for it's about a week long. And brother, we transform you mentally, spiritually, physically. Like I'm talking ex-military. I've got ex-rangers, one of the best archers in the world, one of the best swordsmen in the world. And basically, I mean, these people show up. Your price covers your stay, your food, all that jazz. But I mean, they're put through a boot camp. I mean,
Okay. Yeah.
it's yeah. We're gonna break you mentally, spiritually, physically, and then rebirth you. And
Nice.
each day is a new Viking law, new tenet, and we want to create that spirituality, the camaraderie. That's the main thing. A lot of men need that camaraderie.
Mm-hmm.
But once they complete that retreat, they're eligible to go on my international retreat to Norway or Iceland, and
Wow.
we're also in a big Facebook group with their graduating class, a lot like the military.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the thought process behind that. So every free moment I get, I'm trying to work on that and save tons of money to build more things. And, none of that's cheap. So yeah, man, the acting. And then I run my personal training business as you do,
Where are
training.
you where are you training at?
It's called Fit Studio. So, and that's the one I
Yeah.
saw right across the alley up there, up on the hill.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
I
run
remember
it's
I remember when
private.
that opened. Yeah, I remember when that
Yeah.
we used to have a CrossFit gym down on that street. So I know the area. I guess I think when you first told me that at the beginning, the audio cut a little bit because I was thinking you were at the front of Lakeview where that white building is, because that used to be a training gym back in
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
day.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a
Um,
tattoo joint. I got some of my tattoos there, I think.
yeah, my buddy Will Bledsoe owned
That's
that. He
Will.
sold
He
it.
did my tattoos, bro.
No way, dude. You know Will?
Will did my Sleipnir.
That's
He
awesome,
did he
dude.
did my God, he did so much. He did a
That's
lot. He did my gunman
hilarious,
off the
dude.
back. Yeah, he did
Will,
my Ravens. He did a lot.
yeah, he loves well, I've got a back piece. Well, most of my inks from you can't see it, it's covered up, but yeah, Will's awesome. That's hilarious, dude.
Small world, man.
Have you seen the knives he's making right now?
Nah, man,
They're
last I heard with him, I know he's going through it, man. I mean, he's
yeah,
going through it and
they're
he
selling.
moved.
My dad bought 3 of them. He loves them.
That's
Yeah.
sick, man. I need
Yeah,
to I need to send him a
he
message.
he's in Spring Hill now. He moved his shop down in Spring Hill.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
why.
I'm gonna tell him, dude. That's awesome. Yeah, what a small world, man.
Small world, brother. Yeah,
Yeah.
man. And but yeah, that's kind of the main stuff. And then I'm actually like kind of going back into the service. I'm starting school again in the fall to kind of
Okay.
finish what I didn't do during that crazy time in my life. And because my dad got sick, I mean, that was like the main thing.
Yeah.
But I'm going back into the S&P program. So I have to lose all this luxurious hair. It's going to suck, but I'll look 10 years younger. And,
Yeah. Yeah.
plus, but, yeah, I'm going to the S&P program and do the ROTC, be an officer, lead people.
Nice.
That's my goal. And, I think I'm like the older guy, but I ain't slowing nobody down, brother. No.
Where are you going to school?
I'll be going to TSU for the school part and then ROTC at Vanderbilt. Uh,
Okay.
super, super honored. I really like the staff up there and everybody
Nice.
so far. Couldn't be kinder people. One of the captains up there is like, man, I know what it's like. I did the same thing you're doing.
Hmm.
And he goes, this is going to be awesome. It'll be great. So, yeah, big step, but I'm looking forward to it, man. And I
What
think it's something to do
what
for
do you
me.
want what do you want to do in the army?
Man, kind of a lot of things. I think crazy goal, if I could do it, would be civil affairs.
Okay.
I would really, I think eventually I'd like to do that. My body's held up really well. I mean, this has given me such a goal. I despise running, but I've been doing just so much of it. I wish they would just shoot us up steroids like every other military on the planet, but Um, but, anyways, still, if there's a thing, it'll be like a grand goal, like the ultimate, if we could get there, let's do it, which I think we can. But just immediate goal, obviously commission,
Mhm.
and probably go back to a combat engineering unit.
Okay.
I would like to eventually, I've always been a great teacher. So, and I think I get that from my parents, and I would like to get with, I know in the Marines it's McMat, but, in the Army, just the combatives, there's a unit that specifically does instruction, like in combatives, and, just instructs soldiers for deployment, stuff like
Yeah.
that, get them ready. I think that would be a really cool thing to be a part of as well.
Nice.
But, I like being in it as well, just in the, and when I say in it, I mean just the grunt work and
Mhm.
being part of that camaraderie. I do miss that, and I had a blast when I was there, but I wanna ultimately lead people to, Christ and be the best soldiers they can be and save as many lives as possible. That's the ultimate goal, and I think I've definitely got the tools necessary now to do so, and, I think the staff and everyone around is gonna help me, assist that goal.
Well, Gavin, as we're kind of closing out, if there's a man tonight that is listening to this podcast or this watching here on YouTube and they're on the edge of giving up, what would you say to that man?
Man, I got there, and, one of the best things I ever heard was from one of my best friends, and it's super simple. I'll just frankly say it. He said, "Suicide is a very permanent solution to temporary problems." And, I know the feeling, and I feel like it's best when you describe the feeling. I know the feeling of it's never gonna be alright. Everything's gonna, like, you got that heartbroken. You're never gonna feel happiness again, or, you know I got to the dang Olympics and that was taken from me, and I did nothing wrong. Made the WWE, like, I did everything right, and that got ripped, and I say that because I know what it's like to sometimes be in the situation to do everything right, and you still got it. You still got the crap end of the stick, and every time you climb 3 rungs up the ladder, you're falling down 5. Like, I know that feeling to where you're just fighting this uphill battle all the time, and it seems like it doesn't matter what you do, there's no way out. But man, I would just say the first thing you can do, and this is so cliche, is like, man, when you're on your knees, you're in the perfect position to pray.
Mhm.
Um, but you have to pray, and I think this is very important. You have to pray the way it tells you. And it's not just asking. You have to pray as if you've already received the blessing. And you need to pray behind closed doors. And that's the first step. And then the second step is being good to that man in the mirror. And I always tell guys to do this. And I can't remember the scientific analytical term for it, but when you look in the mirror, we all hear about morning affirmations. Uh, it's called something, but it's basically where, like, you may not believe a dang word you're saying to yourself in the mirror. You may not believe a bit of it, but you say it anyway.
Mhm.
There's something that happens with the subconscious with that. I don't remember the term, but it's extremely important that you start being good to that man in the mirror. And I would urge the most important thing you can do is pray 2 things. And these are powerful words. Make sure you're ready before you pray it. But I recommend praying it when you're at rock bottom, because if you look at what God did with the disciples, he wasn't exactly getting people that were on top of their game. Um, Pray, use me. And when you pray, use me, he will.
Yeah.
Oh, he will. Be
Yeah.
ready. Or the other one, if you're, more on the military side or more on the intense side, send me, and you'll be sent. And I think there's a beautiful grace of when you're at rock bottom and you have nothing to lose. Man, that's the perfect time.
Yeah.
And that's something from the military standpoint, from a police force standpoint, whatever, something that's, combative or dangerous, man. When you don't care, you can use that to your advantage, in so many ways. And somehow you can totally change a storm in your mind to revamp it to, oh, I'm here, and God has allowed has just let people do what they're going to do. So now I can have this strong of a mindset to get it done. And I mean, that's how I look at it. Like that, I'm not scared of death. I'm not scared of anything because I've done been through it.
Yeah.
No, and I may be hurting, but I could help somebody. And that'd be the final thing I'd say, man. Help people. Smile. Open a door. Don't be in the closet listening to sad songs.
Yeah.
You don't be sitting in the dark. Don't be doing stuff that makes you more depressed. Don't be drinking alcohol. Don't be
Yeah.
go get in the sunlight. Make yourself do the things you don't want to do.
Hmm.
Motivation is a luxury. Discipline, that's a given.
Yep.
And that's the thing, man. And at the end of the day, I think goes to say, talk to somebody, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Talk to somebody. Like you may feel like I know. I'll say this. I'll end with this. I remember in FCA in high school, Brad Perry, the guy said this. He said the biggest thing eating teenagers is they think no one cares, and we as men often think no one cares because maybe our spouse isn't acting like they care. Maybe the family structure isn't big, whatever. But there is someone out there who cares and loves you, and it's God, obviously. But I don't even know you, and if you're listening, I love you. Like there's people that care about you, and the world. You may think you're insignificant, and we very well may be in our own way, but the world's going to be a lot darker of a place without you in it, brother.
Amen. God has a cool way of tying in verses that I look up before each episode, and I used that Bible app today, verse for this episode, and you basically just summed up the verse I'm going to read here. This is from Matthew chapter 5, verse 4. Great blessings belong to those who are sad now. God will comfort them. And you just pretty much summarized that whole thing, man. It's cool how a lot of times these verses will really apply to the episode, even though I'm just going off an app. It's not like I'm researching your story to go with a verse. So it's pretty cool
Yeah.
that God is definitely working in this. Gavin, before I pray us out, man, tell everybody that's watching tonight here on YouTube, where can they find you and where can they learn more about you?
Yeah, man. The best thing to do is Pride of Vikings, pride.of.vikings is my Instagram. I would love to have you follow. That's also my TikTok. And Facebook, it's just my name, just Gavin Walker, and you'll see a picture of a Viking with 3 huskies. I've got 3 huskies, and yeah, that's how to find me. Would love to follow. I take DMs too. I try to get back to as many people as possible. And yeah, I urge people if there's anything you guys ever need to talk about, you're struggling with your faith. I've been there, and we've been on there for almost 2 hours. And the crazy thing, I really hope I didn't bore you or talk too much.
Man, not at all.
There's so much that like we didn't cover or could leave out because there's just so much to unpack. And I really just hope everybody knows like I can meet you at whatever level you're at, man. I've been through it all. I've had the highs, had the lows, so pride.of.vikings, that's me. And anytime, anytime you need something, just give me a little bit of time to reply, but I got you.
And I'll make sure in the description here on YouTube, I'll put in your Instagram handle so that way people can connect with you. And there'll be clips from this episode if you're watching right now will be on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. So it'll be out there. But yeah, man, I'll make sure that people can connect with you and all that good stuff. No, you didn't bore me, and I think this was a unique episode because if I'm not mistaken, you're the first pro fighter I've had on the show. So that's really cool, man.
Yes,
Um,
sir. Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
I'm actually in talks trying to get Ken Shamrock on here. So, I don't know if you remember him from the original UFC days and WWE. Back then it was WWF, but, that's one individual I've been trying to get on the show. He's a big Christian.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Ken's awesome, man. I know Sam Alvey pretty well. I could
okay.
probably get him for you. He's cool too, man.
Nice, nice.
Ken's a good guy. I know a lot of those guys, man. And that's yeah, the fight world, that was the thing, man. I tell people the only reason I stopped, everybody was, "You gonna fight again?" Probably. Probably. Well, I just never loved it, brother. I
Yeah,
never loved it. I was good at it, and
yeah,
it was something to do. I think God put me in that to show that I could do it and that I could be one of the best in the world. That's why he put me in the WWE. It's why I got signed to show, "Hey, man, you could do this. You did. You did
yeah.
nothing wrong. This just wasn't the path I had, and I had to show you that you can do this and you are that good."
Mhm.
There's confidence. That's what you were looking for. And I got something better, even though you don't see it at the time. That's always how it was. But I would ask everybody, man, that you share information to. Um, this is free to do, man. Just pray for me. Please pray for me in prayers, and that my future is guided by grace and wisdom and clear, and everybody's safe, and whatever the path leads, that I'm sent to the right place, the right time. That's what matters. And our missions. I did want to say this real quick, if I can. If anybody is looking for something to do, we didn't get to talk about mission work, but I do so much mission work in Africa and other countries with Joey Part of Missions, and we hunt sex traffickers. That's a big thing we do. The trafficking, and if they want to donate, they go to jpmministries.org,
Okay.
or excuse me, joeypartermissions.org, and they can donate. It's a huge part of my life, man. That whole story of going to Africa and seeing God, like, that was that changed it. And but Joey Part of Missions, man, they can go there and volunteer to go on a mission or other things like that, man. Anytime.
Awesome. Awesome, man. Yeah, awesome. That's incredible. Yeah, we should have hit on that, dude. I should have brought that up
That's
earlier.
okay, man. No,
But
another time we could do like a short on it or something.
yeah, totally, man.
You
Totally.
know, yeah, that was I saw Moses, man. I mean, this
Wow.
thing, brother. Yeah, God, I got to see. I'm one of the few that got to see God work, like, really. Like, I got to see it, and
That's
it was
incredible.
can't ever tell me there's not a God, brother.
You'll have to come back on and we'll have to share that story.
Yeah,
But,
and yeah, I hate I missed. I should have shut up about the past. Dang it.
no, it's important, man. I think that's what makes it relatable and really tying into Christianity to really kind of go over those parts of your life that were hard and you went through trials. I think people need to hear that because sometimes Christianity gets sold, especially where we live, as the prosperity gospel, and you're gonna have to go through trials, folks. I mean, God's strongest warriors didn't start out at Lipscomb University. No offense,
Yeah,
I went there, so I'll say that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I mean, it's some of the most dangerous men in the world are the kindest, most gentle, humble, loving men you'll ever meet. But they love Jesus, and they try to live their life that way. So if they got to turn it on, they'll turn it on. But most of the time, they're controlled, they're calm, and they're living their life for Christ, and that's what we need in this world because this world will destroy you if you give it the opportunity.
Yes, sir. 110%.
You want to pray us out, man? Or you want me to do it?
Yeah, man, I can pray us out.
Okay,
Sure. Yeah, I
awesome.
hadn't led a prayer in a while. Yeah. All right, here we go. Everybody bow your heads. All right. Dear Heavenly Father, man, thank you for this day and everything that you've given us. Father, we just appreciate you, all that you've done in each of our lives. We can always complain, but there's just so many things to be thankful for. And I thank you for, this show, this podcast, the mission, and people like this man here who are just trying to spread awareness, your word, your glory. And I pray that we always just give it back to you, Lord, and the sacrifice that you made for us by giving your only begotten Son so that we may live and be better. And I pray that you send us and use us to the betterment of your glory and your power. And Lord, I just thank you, and I'm in awe of your grace and the mercy that you have upon us all every single day. And I pray for this country. I pray for the president. I pray for everyone, all the division. I pray that we all come together under you in your name, because one day every knee will bow. And it is in your heavenly name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Hey, thanks for checking out the Peace, Power, and Purpose podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel and share this episode. Help us spread the gospel of Jesus Christ and raise awareness for men's mental health. We're also on Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. So if you're in the gym, you're driving, whatever, you don't have time to watch here on YouTube, you can check us out and listen to it while you're doing your thing. Gavin, this has been a powerful conversation, man, and I really appreciate you coming on, being vulnerable, and just being, courageous enough to share your story. I really appreciate your time tonight, brother.
Yeah, brother. No, thank you so much for having me, man. Thank you. Times 100, brother. I know it's cheesy, but it's true, man. I really appreciate it. I love what you're doing. And it was an honor.
Yeah, man. Thank you very much. It was definitely an honor to just hear your story. And we're going to inspire a lot of people with this episode. I really appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir. God bless you, man. We'll have to get a workout sometime.
Yeah. God bless you, brother. Sounds good.